Welcome to the SMITE Global Series. Today in Oceania, it's going to be Finch and Aggro here today. We're bringing you Pep Boys going up against GGX Gang. You excited for this one, Aggro?
I am. First of all, I got to comment. Shout outs to NASA, Elon Musk, whoever got us that footage. That was awesome. It really, it really captures the whole.
It was right from the car, right? Right from the dashboard.
I saw the GoPro on the back of it. I just wasn't sure what they were actually using that footage for. Here at the SMITE Global Series, week one, excited to get a chance to really get familiar with a lot of these teams and the players in these regions that we may not have seen come to the international stage before.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the brackets. You mentioned all those extra teams. You can see the path that they took to get here. You can see GGX Gang had to go through Legacy, Esports, as well as Snickers, and then Pep Boys as well had a tough bracket to get here. And it was close all the way through. A lot of 2-1s in there.
Yeah, so I expect that we could see another 2-1 here potentially. Legacy Esports, a name that should be pretty familiar with if you've kept along with the Oceania region in the past. So excited to see what GGX Gang has in the tank. If they were able to come out on top over Legacy, then they've clearly got some talent there.
Yeah, we've seen a lot developing just in these last couple days on this Season 5 map here, Aggro.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many changes with just the way that experience changing works, how big it is. I mean, with just straight-up assassins being okay to play in the jungle again. I mean, there's so many new things to look forward to on this map, and I'm excited to see how Oceania in particular goes into it.
Exactly. The big thing for me, I think, is that damage is everywhere now in Season 5. Season 4, there was a lot of warriors in the jungle, guardians in the jungle, guardian solo. Enough of that. I want to see big damage numbers from basically all classes that are supposed to be doing that, which is the assassins, the mages, and the hunters. And in Season 5, we have a lot more of that, so we'll have to see how these teams adjust, because last year really wasn't a lot of that.
Well, we're seeing some standard stuff, at least as far as we've seen so far, with the Circad and Arneo bands coming out, but Thanatos band away by GGX. That's one we don't necessarily always see banned.
No, but it is a jungler that I think is very, very good right
Yeah.
now. Good early clear speed, excellent sustain, can stay out in the jungle forever because of how often his camps are up.
Yeah.
He's healing off of those minion kills that he has, plus the Assassin's Blessing. I think it's a pretty strong pick, so GGX ban it away. And it's kind of that off ban in the first slot so that you get a priority pick. It's going to be Uller for them.
That's exactly what that does for him. Now they get Uller, a very strong hunter right now. A lot of strong hunters, actually. It kind of feels like
Yeah.
almost no matter who you get, you don't feel like you're missing out that much. Hunters are just good. Giannis, though, and Camazotz are going to be the selection for Pet Boys. Two strong picks in their own right to round out their first two picks.
Absolutely. Love the mid-jungle combination to get off the board right away here for Pet Boys. Like we were saying, damage is kind of the name of the game right now in Season 5. Giannis and Camazotz, really good damage. It's really hard to lock down. Giannis, of course, with the portals through the walls, the extra movement speed from Threshold. Camazotz ultimate, kind of just have to hold that damage. And now with Season 5 itemization, that's a lot of damage that you got to hold. We're talking 700-800 that you really can't avoid.
Nemesis and Osiris going to be the picks there for GGX. Nemesis and Uller on the same team. That could be kind of scary. Two very high priority picks that they've been able to snag for themselves. Going to round that out with Osiris. Just an all-around strong solo laner right now. GTX looking scary early.
Athena here for Pet Boys as well, really doubling down on that global presence.
Yeah.
They already had a global ultimate with the Giannis, but this Athena means that not only will Pet Boys be able to rotate around the map with anyone at any given time even better, but this takes us away from GGX. Taking away a global option from the opposition means that you have that much more maneuverability that the other team doesn't.
And talking about Giannis' maneuverability, it's not just that fights are suddenly in your favor. Giannis always seems to be ahead, right? I think he's just able to farm so easily is why.
Without a doubt. The camps being a little bit squishier means an unstable vortex is clearing them more easily earlier in the game.
Yeah.
He's got that increased movement speed. The portals can, the jungle a lot bigger now, but with Giannis portals, it feels still pretty small to you. So you can really traverse that very, very quickly. Giannis, probably the best mage of power farming and getting to make sure that he can find himself ahead.
Another benefit of getting the first pick Uller is that you get to ban away Hou Yi and Hachiman. You don't have to worry about either one of those hunters. That's going to be the option there for GGX. Xing Chen, though, is the response from Pet Boys. Likely going to be taking that into the solo lane, we're thinking?
Yeah, it could be Athena solo with Xing Chen support, but I'd imagine it's going to be Xing Chen in solo. And I really like that because as good as Giannis and Camazotz are, neither of them really provide a lot of CC. And Xing Chen brings that extra little bit that you might have been lacking with this draft so far.
Fire and light
Provides that in droves. Agni and Sylvanas going to round this out. And I don't know about you, Aggro, but I am liking this GGX roster so far. Sylvanas been very popular here in Season 5. And that Agni control from so much range is going to be a big boon for them as well.
Yeah, I really think that Agni is one of the best mages in the game right now. Very surprised to see the Raijin ban here from Pep Boys. Raijin has really fallen out of favor in my experience since Season 5 came around. Was obviously dominant at Season 4 Worlds, but Agni feels to me like one of the most potent mages in the game. The early game, now that he's a little bit more alone, there isn't as much threat of that 2v2 in the early game. Can dash aggressively on the wave, can dash aggressively onto his enemies. It does so much damage from such a good distance. Now, it is hard at times to bomb out Giannis because of that increased movement speed. It takes a little bit for that bomb to reach you, but these are two premier mid laners in Season 5 right now, and I think it could really determine the course of this game and which team wins.
Pet Boys, they did round there and draft out with that Jingwei, and I think that's going to be a good pick. A lot of the problems with Uller was that, he just pokes you out, but Jingwei kind of can back essentially for free without having to worry as much, can even get items just that much faster too. So this Jingwei pick can do well.
Exactly, and the Sylvanas ult, you can just agility away. That knockup, not really a big deal for a Jingwei. So I do think it's the right pick here in this exact situation for Chappie, and I like what Pep Boys are doing in this duo lane. They, in no universe do you outclear Sylvanas Uller. Even with Sylvanas going for the Guardian's Blessing and committing to being a tankier option, no way you ever outclear them. So go to your red buff, just clear that out, make sure that you can get some guaranteed farm, and then go get the wave. You're going to miss some of it, but you shouldn't miss too much, but Chappie might have gotten caught.
Choppy is getting caught. He's been rooted. He also takes a bladed arrow there to the face. Shell has to come out very early. Shank and Zay is going very aggressive here over into the right-hand buff, not choosing to go for that purple buff, instead forcing them back, and this works. Now they're going to come get their second wave here, Ryan, and force the Pep Boys duo lane back.
Okay, so I said I liked this up until they just got zoned away. Pep Boys duo lane got zoned out for an entire wave, and now they're going to lose the majority of another wave to this tower, most likely, and they lost their purple buff. This was a good idea at first, but the execution of trying to box out in that situation isn't the right call.
Pull comes back in, Halo Arrows, beads force out. Both relics had to be used very early on here by Pep Boys. We saw the shell come out in the jungle. There were the beads just now. That means another pull comes in. We could very well be seeing the end of Chappie here in this dual lane. They're going to need to be very, very careful.
Zays and Shank can kind of actually just hold this wave if they really wanted to, but they've got stuff up on their side of the map. Usually when you have your own buffs up, it's not correct to zone away the wave or last hit it from the opposition, but once those buffs are down, I'd really like to see GGX's duo lane hold the wave. Don't even push it. Force Chappie to come close to you, because for the next 2 minutes, you're kind of a free kill until you either get your purification beads up or hit level 5 to grab that CC immune ultimate.
And I want to talk to you about, because we talked about how big the map is now and there's so many more options on it. A lot of the times you see junglers rotate over right after getting their speed buff to that red buff, sort of to prevent exactly what we just saw happen just now, that dual lane pressure. Instead, we're seeing them focus, it seems like, a little bit more on that solo jungle side of the map. Why are they over there instead of over here where their team's clearly getting out pressure?
Well, it's because Pep Boys started on that red buff instead of going for the lane push first. Good poke there between the Sylvanas and Uller. If the red buff is standing, that's a good rotation idea for the Camazotz, because then he's getting some sort of guaranteed farm, and he's got an opportunity to get kills if they try and invade, because your dual lane can come collapse onto them and make it a 3v2 that the enemy team probably wasn't expecting. With Pep Boys starting on that red buff, you're telling your Camazotz that hey, we need you to come over here and get no farm for like a minute, just to make sure that we don't get pressured out too much. And then if you do still get pressured out, which could happen in that situation, you're pretty much hosed. So it's just kind of hedging your bets and saying, we know we're probably going to fall behind over here, and we just have to be okay with that.
Axe and the root were off the mark just now there from Shank and Zays together. So they weren't quite able to lock Chappie down. He'll be able to escape there in the end. This duo lane, though, the aggression was kind of signaled a little bit early. The blink picked up for Shank as well. That's not too uncommon on the Sylvanas. You know, the blink Rathaterra is very strong, but taking it here early as opposed to a more defensive or supportive relic definitely shows that they're looking to try and set up some kills.
Well, it makes sense, because GGX's gang's composition is kind of counter-engage focused. I mean, Nemesis ult without any sort of prior engage doesn't usually work out too well, because the enemy team can just pop a sprint or just turn and run away in some instances. With the Blink Sylvanas ult, that's your engagement. That kind of starts you off on the right foot instead of waiting for the enemy to do it for you.
Both ult expended over here in the solo lane as our two tanky guys just continue to slap it out. This has kind of been the case for solo lane this season, or really just all seasons. We got the straight-up Warriors over here again, battling it out, trying to stack up those Warriors blessings, which they get tanky pretty early on nowadays with those extra protections that are provided in both directions once that is finished up. So Tyrant Lee and Ocean not afraid to box it out.
Yeah, and Oscar actually already has the Warriors blessing already complete. I think the ult for ult trade actually favors Pep Boys in this situation, though, because if Camazotz comes over like Dexy is right now, no way to get away really here for this Osiris.
Instead, he's just going to try and box it out. Does use the tether, and they recognize it on both of them, so they back it up. That's what you need out of your solo laner. When this gank happens over here in the solo lane, instead of forcing a response from Nemesis, Doinkster can instead focus like he is right now onto add-ons there in the middle lane. His ultimate did come out. You can see it shining, and he's going to catch him over here in the jungle through space and time. Not going to come out in time. Doinkster gets first blood.
Man, I just don't understand that pathing there from add-ons. You see the Nemesis going to that side jungle. Why hug that side wall? Just go to the other side. Now you died and lost your purification.
And there could be potentially more trouble here for Chappie as Nemesis goes even further aggressive. Zaze is going to get credit for that one and then actually get a double kill as Athena falls as well. A bit of a nightmare start here for Pep Boys as GGX Gang go up 3-0.
Yeah, the really good start, though, for GGX Gang. For every bad start for one side, it's a good start for the other. We can try and stay positive here, I suppose. This is what this team composition wants to do. Fight early on the left-hand side, but you have pressure just about everywhere. The days of Nemesis being a really bad early game god are kind of gone. Her Slice and Dice, it got buffed last year, now does significantly more base damage. It allows you to clear very easily. Your poke early on is pretty good as well. that means that you can really fight fairly effectively early on, and that's what we've seen so far from GGX Gang.
And this is why I was saying it was so important that Osha was able to do a good job in that solo lane when he gets ganked by the Camazotz, because if he does fall there, Doinkster might get pulled over to that lane, have to defend. You never know what ends up happening in that chain, but instead, able to go make that gank happen. As you're seeing the Bat Out of Hell come out in mid lane, Texi not going to be able to find the kill into Doinkster, but very least pressure out Yada.
Yeah, didn't get that kill, a little bit inaccurate with the skills there in the mid lane, and gets forced into the ultimate. Without any sort of real pressure from GGX Gang, just a slice and dice comes in and forces it. So again, the solo laners will trade ultimates for the second time. I think that the beads on Camazotz is a little bit too passive for my liking. Blink early on Assassins right now feels really, really potent, because the ward coverage early game obviously isn't going to be as strong as you would like it to be. You're not able to back as often because you need to stay out for your power spike items, and you're not able to invest the gold that you are earning into as many wards as you will in the mid game. That blink early on allows you to get a kill almost every time, whether it's in the dual lane or the mid lane. If you start blink, if you play it right, you can basically guarantee yourself at least one early game kill. And that's what I think Pep Boys kind of need to get their ball rolling, because right now it's just all GGX Gang.
Through space and time comes through from Add-ons. Wrath of Terror to try and get a little bit of space for Shank here, but he's already very low. Zod's going to come in and try and create a little bit of space, but Doinkster perfectly comes in. Yada ends up getting Add-ons. Even with Defender of Olympus being channeled, it's not going to be enough. Texi ends up falling. 2 more kills go the way of the GGX Gang.
That's the nightmare scenario right there for Pep Boys. I thought they had that Sylvanas dead to rights. I mean, it was a good Yana assault from Add-ons. It clipped him on the way out. Shank just bought enough time, and those reinforced Greaves really come into play there. If that's Traveler's Boots, which a lot of the supports are going right now to really focus on getting that movement speed early on and have that extra rotation ability. With these reinforced shoes, that was the difference there, 100%, that allowed Shank to get out. The extra protection on it, the passive that even stacks more protections, and then of course that CCR, the CC wasn't lasting quite as long on him, and it meant that he got out of danger, and GGX Gang get 2 kills in return.
Yeah, and these kills, I'm glad you brought them up, have almost been perfectly distributed really for GGX Gang. 2 on Doinkster right now on the Nemesis pick, 2 on Zays there in the dual lane as well. It's scary how far ahead they're getting already. 2 levels up on their opposition each, and a 5,000 experience lead, 4,000 gold lead at 8 minutes. That is really difficult to fight into.
It really is. In a 6,000 experience lead in Season 5 is something that I really have not seen a lot of, as Doinkster trying to chase down Texi. Nice juke back, though, by the Camazotz, but there's that blink. That's what I'm talking about. That early blink is so strong, and Doinkster's done such a good job of avoiding that dual lane early on, because that's really the only CC that you have to worry about on Pep Boys, is in dual lane and solo lane. Where has Doinkster been doing the majority of his work? In the mid lane, where you don't have to worry about that lack of CC, or you can just kind of ignore the lack of CC and go for that blink, try and use it aggressively, and it's working out so far for the Doinkster, which I will continue to say as often as possible, because that name is fun to say.
No, it's a great name. Doinkster's doing a
though?
great job.
Okay, wait. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Just because it's fun to say Fizz
doesn't make it a great name.
does not make it a great name. Would you want to be called Doinkster?
If I was 3-0-2, yeah. If I got to play Nemesis game 1 of Oceania Finals.
All right. What if you could be 3-0-2 and be called Darth? What is it? Oh man,
wow.
I had it right on the tip of my tongue, and it would have been so good, but I forgot.
It's Darth Star, obviously.
Darth Star,
yes.
That's Finch's Sith Lord name.
The gank's coming out here though on the Blitzcall in the dual lane. Another easy kill for Doinkster. The Doinkst man himself, as he takes down the Nemesis. It's 7-0 in favor of GGX Game, and they want more. They're going in on Chappie, who gets blinked on, who gets pulled in. Doinkster get credit for that. Gets a double kill in the dual lane. It's looking easy for GGX Gang.
Shank, really nice play there to just say, we can get this kill. Chappie just uses agility, and this opens up the Gold Fury that much more. Plus, you get that Tier 1 tower. If Jingwei is allowed to back in that situation, could come back, probably not contest his Gold Fury, but should be able to save that T1 tower if GGX Gang had elected to go for the Gold Fury first. Good aggression choice by Shank to go underneath that tower. This duo lane has looked lights out so far for GGX Gang, but let's be honest, I mean, everyone has looked pretty lights out for them so far. Only one that we haven't really been seeing the praises of is Oska, and that's just because he's been slapping away in the solo lane, cheering on his team.
That play, I think, by Shank is going to resonate with a lot of support players. Sometimes to communicate to your carries, you kind of just got to do that. You got to blink in, get the Razzatary, get the pull, and go, guys, we can get this kill. Please follow me. I know it's going to resonate with some of y'all that are watching out there right now, but a great play in duo lane puts GGX Gang up even further here in this game. As you said, Gold Fury did fall along with that tier 1 tower in the duo lane as well, which just means now that Zays, if he chooses to, can be even freer across this map. A scary prospect for the Pep Boys. They might get their first kill here, and they do. Yada is the one that's going to fall, pulls a little bit off the mark, but not going to matter to Doinkster, who dives tier 2 for Texi, but he ends up falling in the trade. 2 kills go to Pep Boys.
So this is where teams can fall into the trap of being a little bit too aggressive. F-Dot always says, don't let your lead play you, you play your lead. Whatever he says, it rings true. Specifically in this exact situation, there Yada realizes that the XP camp is up on the speed buff side of the map, doesn't really pay attention to the fact that there's 2 members from Pep Boys on that speed buff and immediately punish him for that. That kill, sure, it happens. It's the Doinkster T2 tower dive to pick up a jungler that he's way ahead of. That isn't really the play that you want to go for.
And this is another aggression here from Zays on that red buff. Now he's got 3 members of Pep Boys barreling down on him. Chappie is going to be the one that finds that auto attack to get the first kill onto the Uller player for GGX Gang. A little bit too much aggression here from GGX after their early lead.
And look, when you have a lead as big as GGX has, you kind of get these opportunities to mess around and make some mistakes, and you won't get, you won't lose the game for it. But you cannot afford to keep making these mistakes, because that is how you end up losing games that you're super far ahead of. So this is one of those moments where someone in the comms needs to be a leader and just say, okay, we get it. No more trolling, because if you just attribute it to trolling, no one can get mad at you. Everyone knows that. And then you move on and start to really focus up and take the game a little bit, as tight as you did in the early game. And that looks like what's happening right now for GGX as they secure Pyromancer.
You say that, and then Osha goes forward, fighting 3 members. Whirlwind and Rage and Steel is going to grab him and actually pull him back towards the tier 2 tower. Bad Out of Hell is going to be channeled. Not enough to finish it off just yet, but Add-ons is able to finish that one off. Gets the credit for him. Yada rotates over as well and gets yet another kill. So it's 1 for 1 so far in favor of GGX Gang. Dashing aggressively was the Ogden player, but getting out of it fine there was Tyrantley. Going to back off for the moment, though.
But now it might be GGX Gang on the retreat because Chappie's going to rotate in. Chappie gets a double kill here. Perfectly timed rotation from the Jing Wei. But you're right, Finch. It was all add-ons. He'll get punished for it here. Zays eventually joins the fray, but it ends up being, what, a 3 for 2, I believe, in favor of Pep Boys. Now they might be able to grab this T1. Looks like they'll be able to do that, just that. This is how you start to get back into games. Punish your enemy's mistakes and take advantage when they make any more, even if it doesn't look as obvious. That time, really unfortunate that Shank gets picked up by Tyrantley's ultimate. The Sylvanas blinks in, about to get a big 3-man Wrath of Terra, throw the heal onto his soul laner, try and keep him up. But all of a sudden, he's just going for the ride along with the Osiris. So a little bit of unfortunate timing for GGX, and when you're this far behind, like Pep Boys is, sometimes that's what you need. You need to be, be in the right spots, execute when you get the chance, but also get a little bit lucky at times, and that's pretty much what happened there.
They need a little bit more out of what we just saw, not from Chappie in particular, but what we saw of him. That was him using that semi-global Jing Wei presence to turn that fight into uneven with their numbers advantage, and that's their global presence that they have through the add-ons, through the Athena player here as well. And we haven't gotten to see that very much. It's been all GGX game, it feels like, driving the ship. So if Pep Boys can kind of get these numbers in their favor, at least with how many bodies are in the fight, that might be a way they can get back into this.
Absolutely. Jing Wei, when you're playing against a global, you always have it in the back of your mind. When there's an Athena on the other team and you're in solo lane, you think you've got a solo kill coming, you got to recognize that Athena ult's going to come and it's going to end up in the other team's favor potentially. Jing Wei doesn't seem to get that same sort of recognition almost, where especially it's really mostly if you're on the enemy jungle, you have to recognize that Jing Wei will be coming at some point. You have to keep that timer in the back of your mind. Hey, we've been here a little bit too long. Jing Wei has had time to back and is going to be here soon. We've got to keep that in mind. Teams sometimes fail to remember that, and I think that's what happened there for GGX.
Yeah, and we saw that gold lead decreasing now as GGX Gang have made a couple mistakes, and Pep Boys have capitalized on those correctly. Now, though, Gold Fury is about to respawn. This is a chance for GGX Gang to once again place their boots on the neck of Pep Boys. Physical's here, though, to try and defend, but he's the only one right now who's even close. This could end up being a free one for GGX Gang. No one's really around.
Yeah, this is a mental misstep here from Pep Boys, because there's no excuse anymore for not having Gold Fury timer. There's a global sound that says, yo, enemy team has got Gold Fury. Keep that in the back of your mind. You have to be there. having only Bizicle really the one that needs to be there the least, because she can join in with anybody who's there with that Defender of Olympus ultimate. You've got to have bodies around that Gold Fury, especially with, like you said, Pep Boys were starting to really come back into this and have a chance in these team fights. That would have been a great opportunity to get some gold and really put yourself into the thick of things.
Shank potentially could be caught out here, does get taunted back in. It's Texie, the one that's barreling down on the back of him, cleaning that one up without much problem. But Doinkster returns the favor onto add-ons, rotates on the back end, and does get the middle lane Giannis player. GGX gain, and it ends up being a 1-for-1 overall.
God bless whenever the enemy assassin finishes off Heartseeker and Crusher, because all of a sudden one ability does half of your health, if not more. And add-ons was about half HP, but a blink slice and dice with a fully stacked Heartseeker meant that was instant death for add-ons. I feel for you, buddy.
And Tyrantley has to use the ultimate just to not get crowd controlled there, but he might end up paying for it. Nemesis' ultimate does come out on top of him, using the sprint to avoid the slow, but it's not going to avoid Lord of the Afterlife coming over the top. Doinkster with the in-hands, Yada really gets credit for it. That's enough to get that kill. Tier 1 towers exposed here too. That could easily fall. Perhaps, though, Chappie can return the favor in the dual lane, though.
Chappie still going to push it. That T1 and left. He will grab that for his squad. So GGX and Pep Boys trade Tier 1 towers, but the solo lane tower feels a little bit more impactful to me right now, just because Fire Giant and Pyromancer are going to be, Pyromancer specifically, on the table right now for either team, and it's going to be up very soon. Gold Fury was just taken, so you're not too worried about running away from the Gold Fury fight.
Bizicle died there trying to save Chappie's life, overstayed the welcome to the Jingwei player, and might still get punished for it. Axe just barely out of range. Looked like it was on point, though, so Chappie able to escape after the bit of a hero play there from Bizicle.
Yada gonna dash forward, trying to find the 1v1 into add-ons. Good damage. That first bomb hits, that's a dead Giannis. And that's just recognition from Yada that no relics were up for Giannis. That's good communication from GGX Gang. Then on the last engagement where Sylvanas got picked off, both relics needed to be used there for add-ons. So good aggression from Yada. Needs to be a little bit careful about dashing forward with as little ward coverage as he had, but again, that can just come from good communication, knowing where all of the enemy team is. You don't have to be too worried about it, even without the wards.
They got Pyromancer in that as well, and I think you're right to point that out. Yada just recognizing, too, that add-ons, you kind of have to pick nowadays if you want to go this Book of Thoth or if you want to go the Chronos Pendant Rush here, or if you want to have that Warlock start as well. So Yada does have it. He's just a little bit healthier. Add-ons isn't, so Yada can kind of just blow him up. He went for it in mid lane, didn't quite get it, but did create enough space for his team to get that Pyromancer for themselves. That jungle objective is going to be theirs, and they back. They'll get a little bit extra movement speed from the base if they so choose. Pep Boys, though, were able to force him off this Tier 2 tower in mid. Taunt comes out into Oceania, but he's tanky enough where he's happy to stick around in this engagement.
But here comes the blanket from the camera. That's right onto Zaze. He's going to have to jump away soon, but that bat out of hell might be enough to finish him off. Tyrantley will find him, but Doinkster going to answer back immediately onto the jungler. Nice ultimate out of Xing Chen, but no kills for them quite yet. Doinkster grabs a double kill, and this is just where that XP and gold lead really comes into factor here, Finch. Good fight start for Pep Boys, but you just don't have an answer for Doinkster, who picks up a full triple kill, hits double digits in the kill column.
And he's still looking for it, too. Actually forces the Aegis out of add-ons just there at the very end of that fight with the slice and dice, respecting the damage that it does. You pointed out with that Heartseeker finish, Crusher as well, it really is enough to cause problems between that slow and the damage. So add-ons respects that, backs off, and now Tier 2 tower is going to be aggressed on by GGX Gang. Pep Boys, only 2 members strong, really can't defend it, and Doinkster goes in aggressive knowing there's no Aegis. Taunt comes out to try and keep him alive. Happy to back off, though, and just accept the Tier 2 tower. That's what they were really looking for. Only 2 Tier 2 towers left up on the map now for Pep Boys and solo and duo.
So part of the problem here, I think, is that, like I said, good start to the fight for Pep Boys. They get Zaze low, they pick him off. Zexy gets good damage off of that team fight, blinks in immediately, knocks down the ruler. Good stuff for Pep Boys all around. The tanks all get low, but no one dies on the frontliners, and that means that Doinkster is able to just run around the team fight and cut people up all he wants. This build for Giannis feels so good. Getting max CDR in 3 items between the Mage's Blessing, the Chronos Pendant, and the cooldown boots feels great. But then you're saying to yourself, I need some more power. So Book of Thoth is the answer. Good power that you can get for relatively cheap that will continue to ramp up in power as the game goes on. Fine. But the problem is, now we're sitting at 20 minutes, and there is 0 magical penetration for Pep Boys. So GGX Gang is taking no damage from frontliners from that Giannis. And with the Gauntlet of Thieves fully stacked for Shank, there's an aura magical protection around for his carries as well, which means that it's that much harder for add-ons to do any damage. GGX Gang just continues to push forward in the left side jungle, grabbing gold and a kill. This build feels really good, but it's kind of a trap where in the mid game it feels great, but as soon as everyone starts to group and you actually have to deal with a solo laner and you actually have to deal with a tanky Guardian who got really tanky all of a sudden by finishing off that Gauntlet of Thieves stacks, you feel pretty useless, and that's a problem.
Whirlwind of Rage of Steel is going to grab three members
God.
right into the through space and time. That's the perfect scenario to get this fight started off. Yada's already down, as is Shank. Double kill for the solo laner Tyrantly. Now they're looking for Doinkster. Texi's the one here. He's got add-ons in the back line. They do get the portal. They do get the unstable vortex. 3 kick kills for Pet Boys. This is exactly what they needed, Ryan.
My God, that combo there between Tyrantly and add-ons, beautiful. I mean, and the fact that Yada gets his dash caught, unfortunate, but I don't think he lives in that situation anyways. That's just perfect recognition that, yes, you know, we're down as Pep Boys. We are way down in Golden XP, and we've lost the last few team fights, but we have to recognize that we still have, there was what, 5 seconds left on the Purification Beads cooldown for all of those characters, for Doinkster and Yada. They got picked up by that. That's great time management by Pep Boys and taking advantage of it. I love it. I love the ability to go aggressive even when you're this far down.
Asha not just delaying them, Asha getting a kill. Add-on's going to fall over here, over the Fire Giant, as it was initially picked up by Pep Boys, but they had to drop it when Osiris showed up. They're going to finish this kill off, no problem. Now Zaze is a little bit too far forward. Beads used to try and avoid the Whirlwind and Rage of Steel, which is back off cooldown again, apparently. Pull coming out from Shank, not going to catch anybody, but objective completed here. Osha stopped her from doing the Fire Giant.
And got a kill for it. Blink forward here by Shank, gets the Wrath of Terra off, but Zaze gets on it in. No beads for him, no life. Chappie gonna be able to finish him off that taunt, but now Yada back still not quite enough. Had a bomb in hand. May not have killed Texi, but still was able to escape. Again, I like that idea. Okay, Finch, I'm sorry, I gotta do it. Allow me to get up on my soapbox real quick.
Please, step up, yeah.
When you are any character in the game, it's not even backliner exclusive. When you are any character in the game and you're in trouble, running away from your team is 99% of the time the worst thing you could do, because their add-ons is dead. As soon as, if Oska has ult, which of course he did, and they should have known that, he is dead in that situation. You have to really rely on the enemy messing up, which you really shouldn't be doing at a pro level, or you have to make sure that your team can get a return kill off of the edge of that. So instead of running away, what add-ons does there is just kind of allow Oska a free escape route once he goes over that wall. You have to group up in that situation, stay kind of close together, and make sure that Oska is trading himself for one in that scenario. Instead, Osiris gets out. That means that Pep Boys chases him a little bit deeper into the jungle, right into the teeth of the rest of GGX Gang, who had just respawned. Anytime you're in trouble, look at your mini-map, run to your team, please. Please,
it really
especially in my games, please.
It really was a hero play, though, by Osha. I mean, if they get
It
this
was.
Fire Giant, Pep Boys almost even the game back out while they have that buff in their favor, or at least make it much more even. Now, though, it's Tyrantly spinning Shank back into the damage through space and time. That combo has done wonders for them so far. Texi is going on to Zaze in the backline. That's exactly where you want to see your assassin, Tyrantly, jumping on top of him. He's so low if he can escape from this last bit of damage. Chappie's coming over the top, and he's looking to finish it off, and he can't. Juking around perfectly as Zaze does get the Aegis off, and now he's safely out of this engagement. Texi now is going to have to settle for Shank instead.
Dude, good collapse, though, into the jungle. Pep Boys lose a couple. Zaze still alive, boxing it out with Tyrantly in the mid lane as the rest of GGX just cleans up what the rest of Pep Boys started. Blink over, gets slowed by the threshold. Add-ons should be able to at least have a good chance to escape here. Both relics available for the mid lane mage, so he will end up getting out of danger. Great kiting there by Zaze. And again, what is he doing? He's not necessarily running away from the team.
Right.
He's running around near his team. Yada get a dash right into 3. I don't know about that one, buddy. Yada gets 1, but he will fall in return. So now it's just up to the rest of GGX to make that trade worth it. I just don't think they have the damage to do so here. A little bit over-aggressive there from Yada. The rest of Pep Boys was so low, they kind of all had to back. Could have gone for the Gold Fury, gone for the Fire Giant potentially, though I suppose Add-on did have through space and time available, so even with him backing, could have ended up affecting that fight. So we'll give Yada the benefit of the doubt and say that that was what he was counting on to make that trade worth it.
In the end, he does fall. I believe he used Aegis at the end of that, too, so that won't be available for a little while. Once he does end up respawning, about 100 seconds or more, he'll be waiting on that one to come back up. Gold Fury does look very free here for GGX Gang, but again, this all to me comes back to that play Ocean made on that Fire Giant, Ryan. Instead of a fight over the Fire Giant that ends up going GGX Gang's way, you're seeing Pep Boys taking the Fire Giant, maybe even getting a couple towers of their own and evening up this lead. So that play still having the ramifications even now as GGX let that Gold Fury expand their lead up to about 9,000.
Yeah, OSHA has just been a nightmare in the middle of these fights for Pep Boys, who have really dedicated themselves to focusing out Zaze in these fights. It's been all Uller all the time as the call for Pep Boys. I mean, take a look at the player damage. Zaze very low. He only got 10,000 of that player damage in lane. It's been on the run since the team fight phase started, but it's allowed Yada to really free cast. Doinkster in particular has felt little to no pressure from the opposition, partially because of this Magi's Blessing, which is an excellent pickup into the Pep Boys roster, who are really relying off that one instance of CC, either taunt or the knockup from Tyrant.
Blink goes in. Let's go. They're trying to go for Zaze one more time. Wrath of Terror is good to knock up just about everyone and give Zaze a second, but Bad Out of Hell is going to chase him down. Texie gets the first kill, and it's going to be the Hunter that falls. Defender Olympus now is being channeled on top of the bat. They're looking for the Tree Man. They've got him pinned up against the wall. He'll get out just for the moment. Osha going to go in on a Chappie now, who does have his ultimate still available. He'll run away. Pep Boys have done a good job spreading out this fight so far, but finally Yada's back in and letting the bombs rain down.
Pep Boys clearly have some execution things to work on going forward, but man, their relic timer is on point. Again, they pick off Zaze before he can get his beads up. Now Shank on the run, nice stun, but there goes the Devour right on top. Texie gonna get another kill. Tyrantly took care of Doinkster, who got a little bit too deep into the backline. Osha again trying to make that hero play, but I don't know if he'll be able to do it this time, Finch.
Yada dashes in aggressively. That does let him at least get choppy here, but still falling is Osha. 4 members still alive here for Pep Boys, and I don't think we're going to see Yada make his way out of it. A full-blown deicide for the boys of Pep Boys, who have turned this game around on its head. Now Fire Giant's going to be theirs. This game seemed firmly in control of GGX. Ryan, what happened?
It's just the team fight is going so well for Pep Boys. They're working together better than GGX Gang is, and partially it's the team fight composition for Pep Boys is so much better than that of GGX Gang. I mean, GGX has excellent pick potential. We saw that a lot during the early to mid game. They've got a decent team fight overall, but it's a little bit inconsistent with how much AoE damage they have. Agni really the only one who's going to be providing that, which is fairly normal to have your mage be the one, but there's not a lot of overall control on the side of GGX. Osiris has done a great job of absorbing a lot from Pep Boys, but Pep Boys really just trying to ignore Osha at this point. Everyone is just getting onto Zaze a little bit too quickly. And it's hard to avoid when you've got a Blink Camazotz, a Blink Athena, a Xingqian that could just run past everyone because he's so tanky. And then, of course, the Giannis ultimate. It's hard to keep your hunters safe, but someone has got to be standing right next to Zaze and continue to try and peel for him, because he has been a non-factor in every single one of these team fights. He was great in the laning phase. He made some good rotations and cleaned up some kills in the early game. But ever since the 5v5 grouping started, he's been completely ineffective. A lot of credit goes to Pep Boys for that, but you also have to do a better job as a tank squad to keep your hunter alive.
I think it's also Doinkster that's going to be the focus for me too, because Pep Boys have been so aggressive very early on in the fight on the Zaze. Doinkster can't do the thing Nemesis wants to do, which is like rotate to the back and no one noticed me and get a bunch of kills, because they're kind of collapsing on GGX Gang and splitting them up. So all their lead has been almost irrelevant in these team fights here onto Doinkster. They do get the stun out though. Onto the Xingqian. That's perfect. Tyrant Lee's already down this engagement. Bat Out of Hell's up in the air, but they're going to come right back in as Osha landing on top of him. Gets knocked up, does Chappie, but immediately channels the ultimate. Where's he going to land? Over the wall. Perfect. Disengage, at least for the Hunter player. Bizkal, though, I can't say the same for him. He's gone. Doinkster gets credit for that.
Nice recognition there. Tyrant Lee just backpedaling and staring at the opposition for no real reason, and GGX says, okay, if that's what you want to do, we'll punish you for it. That's what I was just about to say, is that you're right. Doinkster in these team fights is still trying to go into the back line, wreak havoc there. Instead of that, why not just ult the Xingqian that's going on top of your Uller right away? Why not just commit to killing him? Because the rest of Pep Boys, Chappie, add-ons, they're so far back because they're trying to bait the Nemesis away, bait the Osiris away, and then allow that space for Zaze to fall. But if you just kind of collapse on that Xingqian, blow him up, you got plenty of damage with this roster from GGX, that could be the peel opportunity. We didn't see it in a full 5-on-5 there. That ended up being just kind of Tyrant Lee backpedaling when he shouldn't have, but it's same sort of idea and good recognition from GGX.
Yeah, that's exactly where they're going to need more out of from Doinkster. So far, it seems like for Pep Boys, if they can be the initiators and target Zay's, fight goes their way. If GGX Gang can get things started and play through Doinkster, then things might end up going their way so far. GGX Gang, though, get 2 kills up against Pep Boys. They've been able to stall down the pressure that Pep Boys would have had after that last fight swung so heavily in their favor. Rotating over towards the Gold Fury, 30 minutes in, not as valuable as it once was. Everyone nearing or is at full build at this point, very, very close to that. Pep Boys recognizing this, they're instead just going to push down the middle lane and let them have this Gold Fury.
I like this call a lot. I mean, you're getting slightly less gold, but you're getting way more map pressure. Might even be able to get a Phoenix here because GGX, instead of backing, is going to try and find the flank opportunity. Look at where add-ons is, though. This through space and time could come up big.
Space time could be a big thing. Taunt comes out. Magai's blessing pop there for Doinkster, but he's going right onto Chappie in the backside of it. Forces his ultimate out very, very early. Add-ons not really going to get a chance to do much here either. Defender of Olympus channeled, so now Chappie does have a little bit of help in the terms of this Athena. Doinkster, though, is still looking for the low health Jingwei. Add-ons turns around, throws out the unstable Vortex. Does get some damage out. Doinkster's beads going to be enough to create some space for him, though, as Tyrantly now is going up against 4 alone.
Yeah, but everyone is pretty low there. Osho's still trying to find Chappie in the back line. He's not going to be able to do that. That Jingwei just a little bit too squishy. Tyrantly 1 HP, and the hail of arrows will find it. Nice shot there by Zays. And that team fight was so volatile, man. That could have really gone either way. That through space and time was the determining factor. Didn't really do a lot there. You either have to decide to, I'm trying to get into this team fight and give my teammates an option to move around in it, or I'm trying to hit someone and kill them with it. Add-ons kind of split the difference and did neither, and that's not what you really want to go for in that situation. Chappie absorbed the Nemesis ult, and again, I'm not really sure where Kamazatz was in that team fight. I was trying to keep track of if he and Tyrantly were going to immediately go for Zays yet again. Looks like they did get the purification beads from Zays, so I imagine that came from the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. But the formula that was working out so well for Pep Boys just didn't quite get executed there.
Yeah, it didn't work for him in that fight, and I think it's because they seemed a little bit confused about what they wanted the call to be. You talked about it. They get the tier 2 tower, then they come down. They don't go for the Phoenix. They don't come over to the right lane. They kind of hang around there in that jungle, and it ends up being a broken up fight for Pep Boys that they can't quite wrangle or get control of like they have when it's the set fights over around those objectives. Fire Giant, though, is now back up on the map. Add-ons did fall at the end of that last engagement. Ayada ended up picking that one up, so he's just now respawning. He does have through space and time, though, so might be able to make it to the fight in time.
Should be able to, but no purification beads for him, something to keep in mind. Fire Giant down about 50% HP. Gonna be a little bit harder to reset this than in previous seasons. That Ring of Fire, look at how much damage it just did to Yada. There goes a through space and time, baited out by GGX. No one even close to getting hit by that.
It's been really strong for them when it's been paired with the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, and aside from that, it's kind of just been something that Add-ons is looking for some damage for. Now, Pep Boys are confidently in the Fire Giant pit. They've got some aggressive positioning of their own, and they have managed to get the objective reset. Everyone's here now to try and stare down for this objective. Tyrantly's going to be the one trying to be the front line for them. He's looking for Yada, and they do get it with the blink taunt from Athena over on the backside. Texi trying to keep Doinkster out of this engagement as well. He'll turn back in and join the fray where Chappie's low in the back line with Osha barreling down on top of him with Thorns ticking as well. Zays does find Texi. Add-ons find Zays in return, though. It's a 1-for-1 so far.
Oh, nice blink over the wall. Follows the portal. Doinkster looking for add-ons, but there's the Athena ultimate. Actually gets body blocked by Xingchen. Gotta imagine that was hunting for the Giannis, but still able to get out courtesy of that portal. Gonna heal up courtesy of the Sylvanas, and Osha still pushing forward on the Chappie here.
Ayada was looking for it over the wall. They do get the Aegis out from Chappie, so that's going to be on cooldown for him a little bit longer. Through space of time, hits him right in the back. Add-ons takes down Yada. That's a big shot from the Giannis.
Man, it feels like it's happening in slow motion. Like, Andy, no, watch out, my guy. But you obviously can't see it coming. Nice shot there out of add-ons. And that's the thing about Giannis, man. You can toss out a million through space in times. They could all miss. But that one time that you hit one, it could usually end up turning the team fight. And this might be the window of opportunity that Pep Boys needed to snag up another Fire Giant.
Yeah, this is a big difference in Season 5. It's so much harder to snowball a win entirely here. Pep Boys hung on long enough to where now things are basically even. Now things are a little bit in their favor here in this 4v3 they set up for themselves. Fire Giant's very, very low. They haven't confirmed it just yet, but they do. Pep Boys end up getting it, and Add-ons takes the portal to get out of dodge. Doinkster locked down. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel has him, pulling him back towards the team. Doesn't even need to. Tyrantly gets credit for it. Now Osha is low on the target. Chappie does get knocked up by the Wrath of Terra. Turns back in, looking for some life steal, but I think he gets the shell to keep him standing.
Tyrantly with another good knock-up to save the Giannis. Now is trying to set up for Shank. to get killed, but still able to get away because Zaze and Osha both show up. Tyrantley has done so much for Pep Boys here. He's really been the standout member for me that has made the difference for this team. I mean, Osha has done a very good job. Both solo laners have been making an impact in these team fights, but man, every time things go right for Pep Boys, who's the one who's right involved in the teeth of it? Seems to be Tyrantley. He's having a great game on this Xingqiang.
And you talked about the control Pep Boys have. That's what's so strong. Tyrantley kind of just walked down 2 members, but it was the blink from Bizicle that came on the back of that onto the taunt that really started forcing out those relics. This control from this Pep Boys roster has just been too much when they can have those set 5v5 fights, Ryan.
Tyrantley still taking up this Phoenix, trying to force everybody back. Nice knock up there on the Zaze, gets his purification beads, and he's still gonna fall. Like I mentioned, Tyrantley right in the thick of it, gets the purification beads out from Yada as well. Right side Phoenix falls. Continues to push forward. Osha about half HP, but into the back line goes Doinkster, and he'll find Texi.
That's what they're going to need more of from Doinkster. He does find the bat in the back line. Phoenix falls on the right-hand side. 4 members of Pet Boys saying that's all that they can get from this one, and they do back up for now. So GGX Gang defended their base for the moment, though it is at the cost of that Phoenix.
Good job there by Pet Boys. They only get 1 Phoenix, but still able to grab that. They only lose 1 member. They've got plenty of time remaining on this Fire Giant. And then they can just wait it out, you know, push up these waves on the left side and the mid, and now start to make your push in. Everybody full build, no one's really waiting for anything anymore. Upgraded relics, starting to get power potions and the like. This is where these team fights get really, really scary because one, missed ultimate, one mistimed ability or relic could really spell the end of the game here.
And this, I touched on it earlier, Ryan, but this is where I really like some of the changes that we have for the Season 5 map. GGX Gang got off to a big lead, and yes, they made a couple mistakes. That wasn't as big as it used to be, but these defenses aren't as hard to make. It's not quite as snowbally anymore. You can get over there around that Fire Giant and get that objective for yourself or win a fight on your team too, like we saw from Pep Boys. And now 37 minutes later into this game, they're hanging with them, if not the ones that are the aggressors themselves.
Yeah, I think the real standout moment for me that was really different than previous seasons was when Pep Boys were starting to win team fights down 8K gold. They won 2 team fights in a row down at least 7,000 gold.
Yeah.
And that never happens before. I mean, you might win 1 because, I fat-fingered my beads before that fight, or I totally whiffed an easy ultimate. Pep Boys just straight up outplayed their opposition down by that much gold and got rewarded for it. And I think that's a real positive.
Yeah, that was the through space and time set up by that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel play, I believe you're referencing there, which was an excellent maneuver they were able to get out. Add-ons, when he and Tyrantley are connecting in these team fights, it's been so difficult for GGX Gang to try and hang around. They've decided that the play, though, is the duo lane Phoenix. All 5 members are here.
Again, I want to see Tyrantley be the focus. Good damage there. Through space in time, coming through. Hits 1, but not the one you might have wanted. Yada's still going to fall as Texi unpeelable on that Kamazats.
He does end up getting at least 1 kill. Yada's out of this one. Through space and time, which you've seen be so impactful so far, does bring Osha back into the damage from the unstable Vortex and the rest of the Pep Boys. Fire Minions are actually slamming into that Titan on the back end of this team fight too. It's going to start being a bit of a split focus from GGX. Do they want to defend this Phoenix, or do they want to come over here and try and take care of these Fire Minions? 4 members, everyone except Chappie, are still here, waiting on their minion wave to push one more time.
Yeah, I didn't see how low Chappie got, but you have to be really low to warrant backing in that situation with how much lifesteal you have in your kit.
Sure.
Just really delays this push. Yada's still down for 30 seconds, so you still have plenty of time, but I think I would have rather seen Chappie stick around, lifesteal up, and then continue the siege. They could have been done with this Phoenix already.
This duo Phoenix is going to be the call pull just off the mark there from Shank. A pull like that really could turn this defense around for them. Doinkster, this is what we've seen from them all game, and it's exactly what they needed. He catches Chappie trying to split push in the middle lane and takes away the Hunter for another 60 seconds.
I just don't understand that decision making. You have the 5-on-4 already. Why split yourself up and make it a 4-on-4? Now Doinkster is going to come in and get Zexy as well. That was Pep Boys Phoenix's to take, if not the game to take. In that situation, that is just not where you have to be right there. Chappie has got to group up. Just group and take the Phoenix. You already have the man advantage. All that happened right there is that Pep Boys says, hey, you cool with a 4-on-4? Because we're cool with a 4-on-4. Or we can even let you have 4-on-3, where we've got our Hunter with no ultimate against a full build Nem who had a 3K power pot. Yeah, I don't think so.
In the end, that ends up costing the Pep Boys dearly, as Fire Giant now is going to go their way, and they do not get the Phoenix. Right-hand Phoenix even respawns And that just wasn't what's been working for Pep Boys so well. When they have those 5-on-5 set fights, they have all the control. They have the tankier players who can go in, create space, burn beads, and then add-ons. Then Texi can come in and finish these fights off. Instead, as you said, they split themselves up and allow Doinkster to do what he's done for 40 minutes, which is isolate someone, blow them up, and turn the fight on its head.
At this rate, I'm going to get VVVG tattooed on my forehead. Group up. Group up. That is the biggest mistake I'm seeing players make in Season 5 is a lack of grouping. Because there's so much farm on the map, everyone feels like they got to stay spread out, you know, get it all at once. Not really the case. As soon as the mid-game hits, grouping and pushing down these objectives has been really, really successful for these teams in Season 5. Grouping when you have a man advantage is just the play. It's unequivocally the play. You gotta do it. Teams still making mistakes on that end are gonna cost you.
All 5 members of Pep Boys are back up now, and now it's their turn to give a try at this defense. We saw this go well for them before when Tyrantley was able to get to the back end and get that Whirlwind of Rage and Steal. If we can find another miracle play like that, this defense could very easily go the way of Pep Boys. But again, 41 minutes in, these teams are so even. No one really has a significant advantage. This Fire Giant going to spell the real difference for the boys at GGX Gang if they want to try and find a way to break the base. Solo side Phoenix, though, does appear to be the call as they push up the minion waves.
Really worried about keeping this minion wave as far as possible away from their weakened Phoenix. I like this call from GGX and getting that mid wave. This is where you can play it patient. Wait, look at how far up that left side wave is pushed. You're going to have the opportunity to take multiple Phoenixes here, even with a slight win in this team fight for GGX. Having all your waves pushed simultaneously is a great way to get more after a team fight than just that one Phoenix.
Texi is the one that's going to come meet Doinkster over here in the middle lane and push it up, but Doinkster's heading back towards the rest of his team now, trying to group back up with them. The way they split this fight and where we see people trying to loop around the backside is probably going to be the story of this. Who's the one that's going to be the initiator? Who's looking to be the initiator here in this engagement?
You're really looking at Tyrantley on the side of Pep Boys and waiting for GGX Gang. If I'm GGX Gang, I'm waiting for the combo that we've seen Pep Boys go for start to go off. I'd love to see Nemesis Ult hit Tyrantley this time.
It's the taunt that comes back in, though, immediately responded to by Shank with the Wrath of Terra, and going up into the bat out of hell is Texi, but getting 2 members with a Whirlwind of Rage and Steel and throwing him right back into the tower. Yada is already gone, as is Texi, so it's 1-for-1 so far. Still choosing to fight under the Phoenix right now is Osha, who's taking way more return damage than he was looking for. He'll have to run away.
Nice
Taunt brings back in 3 members. Zaze falls. Shank ends up falling. Double kill for Chappie, and looking for more here onto Osha. He does go up with the ultimate to set that one up. Osha gonna fall for sure here, and he does. 4 members down. Pep Boys only need to barrel down the lane to get this finished off.
That's important.
That's a pretty big kill, though. Doinkster gets Chappie.
And again, it's Chappie. Where is he in that situation? Why is he there in that situation? And ends up really costing Pep Boys. If you get a clean wipe in that situation, even losing just Camazotz, you've got a really good chance to get multiple Phoenixes. Now, I'm not sure that GGX is going to lose one. I'm not sure they're going to lose one Phoenix in this situation. The waves are all so far pushed back. You've got no tower damage from the members who are alive. I mean, Giannis is going to be your guy, and he doesn't even have that much penetration in his build to get these Phoenixes down. Again, just a lack of decision-making that might end up costing Pep Boys some serious objectives.
I agree. It cannot be overstated how important a Jing Wei would be in this exact situation right now. Ultimate does come out into add-ons to try and limit what little Phoenix push that this team does have. 9 seconds away from Zaze joining the fight. Yada has already respawned, and nada is what Pep Boys are going to get off that team fight by giving up Chappie there. And it's a big play by Doinkster, though, to find Chappie there. It's one thing for him to be out of position, but it's a whole nother thing to be able to capitalize on it. That's what Doinkster does. He's been one of the big stars for this GGX gang this whole game so far, sitting at 16, 4, and 12. Top of the player damage charts almost the whole game.
Without a doubt. He's had a great game so far on this Nemesis. And going back to that right side Phoenix Siege for GGX, they kind of got tricked just like I did. We're so focused on the Xingqian. Oh, he's been a nightmare. He's done so much. We kind of forget that Blink Athena is really hard to deal with. And in that situation, GGX just group up way too much. Yada gets his beads forced by the Blink taunt, and then Tyrantley says, "Thank you very much, I'll toss you right into my Phoenix." And that's a dead Agni immediately without really getting any relevant damage off at the same time. It's tough. You got to worry about the Xingqian, you got to worry about the Blink Athena. There's a lot you have to keep in mind and position accordingly. Can't group too much, can't spread too much. Got to be just the right amount.
Yeah, these 5v5 fights are going to require almost perfect execution from GGX Gang Because as you said, Pep Boys have so many ways to force your relics out, whether it's the taunt, whether it's the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, or just the knock-up that Xing Chen has, or whether it's add-ons or Texi. There's too many forms of it here. So when they are all grouped up like 5 like this, that's why you've seen those fights go so heavily in Pep Boys' favor. This is much more what they would try and prefer if they can find a fight here in the jungle or an objective and split Pep Boys up.
And again, I can't really complain with the results. 16, 4, and 12, top of the player damage charts, like you mentioned, for Doinkster. But Xing Chen, once these fights get going, Athena's starting them off, and then it's Tyrantly who's making it really, really hard for GGX to do anything in these team fights. I'd really love to see Nemesis ult in the triple bomb right on the Tyrantly. Perfect, yes, now attack! Attack! No, forward, not go, attack now!
They aren't able to end up getting it, though. The taunt comes back out onto Osha, and Osha gets blown up immediately. He's still alive, has to use his ultimate just to get away. Yada dropping some good damage back in. That's going to force Yada back, but nowhere near enough. Osha does eventually fall. Texi gets credit for it. Now he has a double kill. Zaze falls. Chappie also finds Shake. Only Doinkster left alone. Taunted back in and deleted. Double kill for Chappie as well. After a good initiation, Pep Boys turning around. They can't possibly not finish this one off. Phoenix and Titan are in their sights.
Hold on now. Finch, don't jinx us at this point. 46 minutes in, but you're right. This should be Pep Boys have it all wrapped up. The perfect engagement. You pull the Xing Chen. He's completely out of position. Nemo, he's sprinting. Who cares? He's half HP. Yada, dash in, bomb him, get that kill, and you're in a much better spot. You couldn't draw it up any better than that. It's just the GGX gang was not in position to follow up after that. The argument there is either if you aren't in position to follow up off the Nemesis ult, it shouldn't be used in the first place.
Sure.
Or if the Nemesis ult is used, you damn well better get that kill. And neither of those things happened. GGX had that one wrapped up. It was ready to be handed over and delivered. And then they dropped it, and Pep Boys pick it up.
I don't even know if Tyrantly jumped. I feel like he kind of just walked away. They pull him over the wall, and Tyrantly like, okay.
Have you seen Xing
just
Chen jump? It's like this big, my guy.
Got out of there.
He could jump 10 times, and Agni still could catch him. I don't care about the jump, man. He's slowed. He's half H. Okay. I gotta.
That was exactly.
Let me reach my Zen moment real quick.
Yeah. Everyone give aggro a moment
I'm good.
to relax at the end of that game.
Game 2, let's do it.
Goes the way of Pep Boys, though, and really what's impressive about that, I cannot stress enough, they were down. They were down like 8K gold, 8K experience to the point where it would have been so difficult to try and fight back in, but they did it. They got a big play out of Tyrantly as well as add-ons on that Giannis with the Through Space and Time and the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, and they clawed their way back into it from there. But picks and bans for game 2 ready for you, Aggro.
I'll tell you what, Pep Boys deserve a lot of credit. They played beautifully from behind. They gave up what they needed to, didn't give up too much, were able to fight at certain times. Again, the big thing for me, their team fight looked great, and their relic timer in their minds was perfect every single time. And that's 2 really good signs of a good team. But GGX had that one in the bag, man. You got to be able to close that out from 8, 9K ahead fairly early on in the game. It's just some small execution errors and lack of decision making that ended up costing them.
Here's what I think it is. You hear this a lot of the times in other sports. When you're down a lot, they simplify the game. They say, focus on just your job, do your job. That's kind of what it was. For a while there in the mid-game, it was just kill Uller.
Exactly.
Right. So you're right. So they kept good track of relic timers, but it was kind of just Ullers. Relics they were keeping track of for a while. So they simplified the game plan down, and it worked. They executed it, and they were able to stall things back out.
Well, GGX going to go back to this Uller. A little bit surprised, but he did do so well in lane.
Yes.
They're probably thinking that it was more around that Athena taunt, which they banned away, that you can kind of point to that and say this is why the Uller wasn't successful in the team fight phase. As soon as Athena sees you in your bow stance, you're a free taunt target every single time. So I don't hate this idea from GGX, but Zaze has got to do a better job of staying safe, staying back in these team fites. And I love Pep Boys prioritizing the Xing Chen. I absolutely love it. Like I said, this was the character that really worked for me.
To me, the big difference already is that second ban. You said it's Athena. Well, what was it last time? It was like a Thanatos, right?
Thanatos,
That's what they banned in this spot. If I get to ban Athena over Thanatos, I'm feeling way better about my chances already. They're going to round that out with the dodgy Geb. So if you're worried about Uller getting damaged, no one's better at keeping him alive than a Geb.
And this is a great adjustment from GGX. Say, okay, we see what you did, Pep Boys. We respect it. Now we're going to totally ban it away. They are going to go for the Thanatos that was banned away in game 1. So we'll see if it was worthy of that ban in game 1. Certainly Athena was here for game 2, but Geb, the perfect selection to try and keep this Uller up. Shuts down that Xing Chen ultimate very nicely if Geb doesn't get caught in it himself.
Pep Boys ban away this Agni. This is what I love about these 3-game, 5-game sets, Eckers, when we start to see like the meta within the set develop a little bit, where it's like, hey, we're gonna get rid of this Agni, we don't want to see that again, or we don't want to see the Athena again, or now the Thanatos that got so much respect at the beginning is coming out as well. Now we're gonna get to see what they can do with this Thanatos and what they can do when they don't have Agni.
Hachiman and Jing Wei, the bands. A little surprised that the Jing Wei did not.
Sure.
That's kind of the god that you want to see if you're GGX, but it is a pretty safe god, even if it didn't end up working out. And you've got the CC Immune Ultimate. Daji's not going to be able to make a lot happen on that, and Geb knockup is just setting up for agility, so not a bad matchup for Pep Boys if they wanted to go for Jing Wei. So it makes sense.
This shall be a day long remembered.
Bologna picked up. Never going to be a bad selection in the solo lane is Bologna. Just about always relevant. Sobek rather was the pick for Pep Boys there to round out the top of their draft, and then the Soul as well. So Soul we've seen a lot do well. We've even seen Soul in the ADC position and Uller mid.
Yeah.
So a little tiny bit of flex potential here between where they're going to go. I don't know if it'll make too big a difference for the Pep Boys, but they've got some chances to shake that up a bit.
No, I like this idea here from GGX to pick the Soul. Little worried about the slow immunity for Thanatos. Very hard for Soul to combo him with that 2 ult that you really want to drop and basically one-shot any squishy come late game. You're really relying on the slow from your Stellar Burst to set up for the Supernova, but outside of the Xing Chen, these are characters. Soul just shreds tanks very well if you want to go for that sort of build path. You know, if you want to go for the demonic grip, a lot of penetration, focus on the auto attacks, because their auto attacks are what really trunk these tanks down. The abilities aren't really gonna do too much in the late game.
It's going to be Yada on the Soul here in the mid lane, and let Zays keep the Uller from game 1. We'll wait to see what he does on this Soul pick, because he was a good part of what was going well for them on that Agni last game. I know they didn't end up winning it, but he was definitely causing some problems with that rain of fire. So can he do the same thing on this Soul pick when, as you mentioned, might not always be the best matchups here into this team?
But it is safety. You've got the slow immunity yourself to get away from the Sobek ultimate. It's hard for Xing Chen to really stay on you as a Soul. Now, the Xing Chen Furious Roar, remember, that does reduce the damage that basic attacks are doing. So by drafting Soul and Uller, you've got a couple characters that are really relying on their basic attacks. Daji really relies on her basic attacks. Her 1, which is where the majority of her damage comes from, really is just a basic attack stim. So Tyrantly has some good options to shut down some basic attackers. Even Osha on the Bologna. How does Bologna clear? Cleave auto attack. So the Xing Chen, even though it was picked early, has a lot of really good matchups, and Osha is in. So I cannot overstate how much trouble he is in right now. My man is dead. We can. This is first blood. Chalk it up. We can move on.
Yeah, Texi rotated over here along with add-ons. Osha's just gonna have to
run
through the tier 1 Phoenix getaway. He does end up dying just from those 2 shots. Tyrantly gets credit for it. He was the last one to deal damage to it, so he ends up falling there. But last game, what went so well for Pep Boys was that they had a really strong team fighting composition. Do you feel like this one's as strong, or with that Thanatos pick in there, and without the Athena taunt, are they going to have to try and do more of a pick?
Yeah, I'm a little worried. The Sobek to Athena is a downgrade for the team fight in my mind, but everywhere else still feels about the same. And in fact, I really think that Hu Yi is a much better team fight hunter than Jing Wei is, because of his ultimate covering so much area and slowing down so many people. So about the same. GGX's composition just about the same as well, but Bologna a better team fighter than Osiris in my mind, just because of the the stun that she can provide, as well as the AoE physical protection, physical power buff that Eagles Rally will give to your squad. So both teams about the same as they were last time. Maybe a slight improvement for GGX gang in the team fight department than what they had last time, but overall I still favor Pep Boys in the 5v5 skirmishes.
Doinkster did rotate over to help them strip away that purple buff from GGX game, so you can see it there on Shank. That has gone their way, and this is what Uller does in lane. Such a bully, going up and trying to push them off the mini wave right now. This is why it can be so frustrating to try and go up against. We still see, though, Doinkster rotating into the middle lane. Thought he might be looking for a collapse, but instead just comes in to split the farm with them. So right now, no real early ganks aside from that bit of a misplay there by Osha getting caught out trying to proxy farm, I believe, and that's been pretty chill.
Man, that proxy farm is so risky, because you know that the enemy jungler, at the very least the enemy jungler, is standing really close to you on speed buff.
Yeah.
If the mid is there as well, you're just dead every single time. I really feel like dual lane proxies can end up working out, because even though you've got 2 members to worry about, you can clear the wave, end up going towards their buffs. You're making them choose between you and the waves. For solo lane, what do you give up? You get your speed buff 15 seconds later? Who cares? You just got a first blood. I really feel like that solo lane proxy is far too risky to pay off.
That kill did go on to Tyrantly as well, which could make things even a little bit harder for Osha in the actual 1v1 matchup. Tyrantly already, or rather Xingqian, already has a fairly decent matchup with Osha. Anyone who really has a chance to interrupt the bludgeon can create some problems over there in that solo lane, but we'll see how that ends up shaking out for them last game on this Xingqian pick. Tyrantly was such a terror when he could rotate into those fights with the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. Can he replicate that again and get them their second win, which would be enough just to win the set?
I mean, as far as Warriors versus Guardians go, I feel like this is the best Guardian matchup there is, at least on paper, because like you mentioned, you're interrupting the bludgeon with the hook slam, but then you also have your Furious Roar to stop what Bologna's doing after that. Most Bolognas don't really care when you interrupt her bludgeon because she's still got those cleave auto attacks, but with Xingqian, you're making her do less damage in that situation, and you do pretty significant damage yourself. Really feel like Xingqian can actually hold his own in this matchup and not just kind of hang on for dear life and wait for the late game.
The invades continue for GGX gang on that dual side of the map, so despite the spill they took early on the solo side, with this pressure with Zaze and Shank over here in the dual lane, they're going to continue to try and strip away some of the jungle. I'm glad Texi's here, though. He's been able to put a bit of a stop to that, at least secure them their own purple buff this time. Now they're actually coming in for a fight. The pluck was off the mark there from the Sobek player, and now Shank's forced to blink away. Once again, starting with that blink relic, this time coming in handy.
Not the worst thing in the world for Pep Boys. Would like to see a kill in that situation in the 3v2. But once Sobek Pluck is off the mark, you've immediately lost a lot of your kill potential. There's the blink in from Doinkster. Looking to pull one in, and it's going to be that Sobek. Nice immediate pull. Zaze is going to put GGX on the board, but man, Doinkster going to fall. Big damage out of Texi.
Yeah, Texi responds immediately with the ultimate, goes straight up, straight back down, and does find that return kill. That's exactly what they end up needing to even that up 1-for-1. Were it not for that spill, they'd at least be even in the kill count, but that's what I like to see out of Dodgies on that Doinkster, man. If you get that first chain, snap, pull him back in, and then just start looking for the damage. It's exactly what you did in that powwow. He gets that kill.
Very nice gank, and well timed because Texi was hanging around. Now, took a little bit too much damage and ends up falling for it, but at least gets Zaze on the board. Chappie did have to use purification beads there as well. No CC immune ultimate for that Hu Yi, so if I'm Doinkster, I'm heading right back over there. As soon as my powwow's up, I'm going to try and grab another kill for this duo lane because Zaze got off to a good start last game, and you kind of want him to get off to another good one because you got to have in the back of your mind, hey, you know, I know that we had a big lead, I was a big part of that, but then in the late game, I didn't really do a whole lot. You want to be able to keep your Hunter's confidence up, say, you know, we'll give you the lead again, we know you're going to do something better with it this time. And that's what I would be going for, at least if I'm GGX.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they trust Zaze on this Uller pick in particular because they prioritized it yet again. Gave it to him early on in this draft. Pluck goes on to Yada to try and get him out of position. Beads were used to prevent that, so he won't have that for another 150 seconds. Yet another target that Pep Boys can start looking to, who's going to be a little more vulnerable. Soldo, pretty safe in the rest of her kit.
Bizical seems to be the guy who starts things off for Pep Boys, whether it's the Athenaton or the Sobek Pluck. Those are both a big green light that says, hey, team, we fight now, please. And that's a good idea to keep your support on the same style of God. If it works, and no real reason to change it.
We're about 6 minutes into the game. 2-1, so a little bit slower than what we saw last game because last game, Zaze and this duo lane were completely dominant in it. This time, though, Chappie on the Ho Yi pick, and with a little bit of help from Texi as well, has been able to stick around them with them much, much better in that dual lane. So not got to worry about fighting from nearly as far behind. Also, though, Doinkster on the Dodgy pick as opposed to that Nemesis. The Nemesis was a big part of why they're having such a hard time as well. So this game seems to be much more even for them. And we saw what they could do from behind. Let's see what they can do when they're even. As Doinkster's looking for the ganker on a Tyrantly, who did a good job surviving these ganks last game. Maybe not going to be the case this time. Chasing him down and getting the kill is Ocean.
Nice job there by Doinkster, using this ultimate nicely. Doinkster, as Bizical as the guy who starts things off for Pep Boys, Doinkster seems to be the one for GGX. He seems to be the engage tool that they really like to utilize, whether it's through straight up damage like Nemesis Ult or CC like the powwow. Good timing, and like I said last game, using those ultimates in the solo lane usually ends up favoring one solo laner or the other. In this instance, I absolutely think that Tyrantly is losing every time that they're trading ultimates in the solo lane, because if you're forcing out that Bologna ultimate, sure, that's nice, and it gives you some sort of kill potential for the Thanatos, but as soon as you don't have that CC immunity, Doinkster could head over and immediately pull you in. Didn't have to worry about that with the Nemesis as much last game because he had Sprint to get away in those sort of situations. Sprint really not going to help you against getting yanked back into that pull.
And I like them putting a little bit of attention on the Tyrantly. It's really, really hard to bully the solo lane out, even with the gank. They're so tanky over there nowadays. But Tyrantly was kind of the hero for them last game, so anything to disrupt him or slow him down even a little bit, I kind of like if you consider that on this exact same pick, on this Xing Chen, he was the thing that made it so difficult for him.
I completely agree. And to some degree, you want to do that. Now, on the other hand, Xing Chen solo is going to get to the tanky mess that you can't really deal with no matter what you do to him in the solo lane, unless you win in 20 minutes. He's eventually going to become that nightmare team fighter that you got to worry about. But getting Osha ahead is kind of the name of the game. It's less about keeping Tyrantly behind and more about getting Osha ahead and allowing him to maybe rotate a minute earlier, make a bigger impact by finishing off an item a little bit earlier than the enemy team was expecting. That's going to be important.
Oh, they're all here. Blink Cataclysm forces the beads out from Chappie right away. He drops the Suns down on top of himself, but up until the Powwow goes Doinkster, who does get the pullback on the two members. Perfect. Physical ends up falling already. Well played.
Man, Chappie just able to escape by the skin of his teeth, but a really nice pull in there by Doinkster. Chappie must not have had the jump to get away from the Powwow. I don't hate the idea to just kind of hold that thought. Texi up into the sky trying to find Yada, but that Disapparate form, gonna need to find the scythe, but nice backstep there. Gets Yada out of danger.
Is able to avoid that scythe, and sometimes all that scythe is all you need. Actually, it is all that you need. Able to turn back around as Yada, and Doinkster gets credit for that one. This guy seems like he's gonna play lights out, whether it's Nemesis or Dodgy or whatever you give him.
Plus, Thanatos used the purification beads there, so again, another target for this Dodgy. So many people talking about the different assassins that are good right now. You know, Serket, Camazotz, Nemesis. Dodgy feels insane. Every time we see her, she just seems to do so much. I really feel like Dodgy kind of going under the radar is one of the best assassins in the game right now. Doinkster not flying under the radar at all with his performance with her so far.
No, she is high execution, and Doinkster is showing that he can rise to that challenge. I mean, he's definitely playing it very, very well right now. Played the Nemesis well last game, too. The question was, though, what ended up happening was that they had a hard time translating Doinkster's lead into meaningful team fights, into Pep Boy's roster. Is that going to be the same issue for them this time? I'm not sure. Dodgy could be a lot more relevant from a team fighting perspective as Choppy just gets blown up by the damage from Zaze. Not going to be able to finish it off, but almost certainly going to have to back.
Man, so low. Shen could even blink in and use the shockwave, though. Last time we checked in with Shen, he was leveling his stone shield, so actually probably would not have been enough damage, but this is a good idea. Go towards the Gold Fury, at least force Pep Boys to have a response. But man, Ullr Dodgy's soul, this Gold Fury not going to stand for long. Someone's got to make a play fast.
Through space and time did come through, and Texi is up in the air, and Shank's already low enough for the execute to go through. He just can't catch up with that extra rollout speed, so instead he ends up landing down on top of Zaze, but gets pulled right back in by Doinkster, deleted. That's going to be the second kill rather for him. Osha finds add-on to the backside. The solo laners have now rotated into this. The Suns are raining down on top two. Yada looking for more.
That nice jump in, though, by Chappie. He's going to find Doinkster. That's a big kill. Yada going to end up falling here as well. Chappie with a double kill. That reminds me of last game where he rotates in and gets one. Now might get a third, but Shank going to blink in. Three-man Cataclysm, but Zaze jumps out because Osha is going to take care of it all by himself. Tyrantly will answer back, but it ends up a bloodbath. 3 for 3 at the end of the day. Pep Boys stop the Gold Fury attempt and get a couple of kills, even themselves up in the team fight, at least, with GGX.
Yeah, that's what they needed. GGX started that up, and it felt like they were just trying to see what the response from Pep Boys is going to be. Well, we saw it. Through space and time came through. Texi finds the ultimate to land down on top of Zaze and force him out early on in that fight, too, and then it just kept going from there. Doinkster did get a couple of return kills, but add-ons, Choppy in particular, rotated back in, and they really disrupted the backline with a lot of damage. Good team fight from Pep Boys. Now, though, without the Gold Fury going down, they've kept this game a little more even.
I just don't know how I feel about GGX continuing to push forward into the enemy red buff. In that situation, you killed Texi. I know Shank was very, very low. Zaze was very, very low. But you'd killed the Thanatos. Giannis was either low or dead. Chappie was still coming back. That seems like an opportunity for me to go back to the Gold Fury and try and force that objective once more, instead of chasing these kills. GGX seems to be a little bit too focused on those.
That's the pluck that they needed. Bizico gets pulled back in. Now the jump's going to come out. Geb Shield, though, going to keep him running through the Suns, able to withstand the heat. Texi, though, is using his ultimate. He's going to look for Zaze, but I think he's just a little bit too far away. He's willing to jump down into the Tier 2 tower. He does get the execute immediately, gets knocked up, but Doinkster's here. Shell keeps alive for a second, but it's not enough. Through space and time came through as well, though. The rest of Pep Boys are here.
Gonna need to hit all 3 chains, and
And
he'll
he
do
does!
it! Great shots there from Doinkster, but GGX need to be careful. Look at where Tyrantley is. Thought he was gonna wrap around the back, but still might be able to make the impact here. Zay's already dead, and Tyrantley's looking for more.
He does find it with the World
Nice
Ridge shield,
shield.
but he had to stay outside of it and find the shield. It was perfect. He ended up paying for it with his own life, though, but does save Iyada, which is a pretty good trade, I'm sure, in his mind. Choppy now getting dove on by Doinkster, rather,
That'll do
for
it.
too much unstable vortex. He gets put into the ground. Choppy dies as well, though, in trade.
Yada might end up falling here, but Unstable Vortex off the mark. So is the Stellar Burst. Tyrantley might be able to find this. No, not quite enough. Still only level 13. Has very little magical protection. Only has that T1 of Void Stone, so that's why he's not able to find that one. But a good team fight there from Pep Boys. Texi going for that kill. I thought for sure he was going to let it go. Decides that his life is worth that of Zay's. In that situation, you have to say, I'm dying for this. The Purification beats underneath the tier 2 tower there, not the play. Because now you're vulnerable to dying again on respawn. But maybe he can get through without it. I would just like to see him. If he's making that call, fine. But you got to just say, all right, I'm dying. So is he. I'm cool with that. But then, man, that stone shield from Shank, so beautiful. You called it exactly right. You have to stay out of range of that and find the shield at the same time. Not necessarily easy to do, especially with that big old body of Shank's.
Yeah,
but
not at all.
Sucked it in, made it look good for the picture, and was able to stay out of range for that. Just a really back and forth there between both teams.
And I want to make sure we're kind of singing the praises of Shank. I mean, we didn't get to too much last game, but I mean, he was playing lights out for him and doing so again here on this Gabo. 2-4 so far. He's been the one that's taken the spills. But if you're the support, you're always thinking, yeah, I've died 2 times, but hopefully those are 2 deaths my carries didn't take, right? So It's almost like a badge of honor that you wear in your favor. Pep Boys now, though, pulling this Gold Fury back again, and Zay's is here to try and contest.
Chappie dropping the ult here. Zay's playing out over the wall, so is Doinkster. Gold getting very low. Pep Boys will grab it, but Doinkster going to grab Physical instead.
Doinkster actually gets a double kill as Texi falls too. I don't know if this was going to end up being worth it as Doinkster continues to chase down Chappie here in the jungle. And look at that damage. He actually goes aggressive, recognizing he has the triple kill on the Chappie. Now he wants more. Quadra kill comes out for Doinkster. He's on fire and has a chance here for the pentakill. Tyrantley throws him back onto the tier 1 tower, and Doinkster has to run away.
Daze doesn't have the axe. Beautiful Quadra. I thought that could have been it, Fitch. I thought that could have been the pentakill, but we get another day. We should have a little sign like X days since last competitive pentakill. Great play there by Doinkster again. Doing so much on this dodgy. Love the confidence. Hits Chappie with the 1, and then uses the Trickster Spirit to go to the Giannis. Says, let my bleed take care of it. I'm going to start chunking down this Giannis. Dodgy's auto chain got changed last year, and that was a complete game changer for her. Autos at first didn't really feel like they meshed very well. Now, not only do they feel quick and easy to use, but man, do those things chunk. Just straight up dodgy auto attacks are applying her passive, remember. You don't need to use any sort of abilities, just the auto attacks will do it. Doinkster, man, so much damage coming out of this character.
This guy, man, Doinkster, he is playing nuts this set so far here, Aggro. I'm 100%.
And could there be a less intimidating name for someone who's destroyed? Oh man, just got killed by Doinkster again.
That's style points. That adds insult to injury for it. You don't want to go home and say, yeah, I let Doinkster get 9, 3, and 4 on me on Dodgy in game 2. Feels bad.
Do you think every time he gets a kill he says, you just got doinked?
I know he does.
He probably should.
Nothing is more true than that.
He probably should. Like, imagine him at land, it's like, yo, you just got doinked.
And says it like that calmly.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You got doinked.
Hey, just in case you missed it, you got doinked right there.
Doinkster playing very well for GGX gang. They weren't able to convert into a win last game. Pep Boys are up in the set right now, but this Dodgy pick feels like something they can play around a little bit more. Her team fight presence is much more potent.
It has just so much ability to buy time, getting up on that powwow. That's kind of the thing that not a lot of people think about with that ultimate, but it takes Dodgy out of combat. So kind of similar to ROM ultimate. You get into yourself into your bad spot, just get up onto that ultimate and wait it out. Just wait until you can have teammates come and assist you, and then you can start to turn the fight in your favor. Or you can just slap someone with all 3 chains. The chains do more damage than a lot of people think. You can pull in multiple people. Dodgy just does a lot, man. And that's all before we talk about the ridiculous damage that character can do.
She's going in aggressively one more time onto the powwow and slapping those chains down on the Chappie, who does invuln it. Through space and time came back in, though, right when Doinkster landed, so perfectly timed by add-ons to smack Doinkster right back in the chin. Not going to save that tier 1 tower, though, which does fall in left lane. GGX Gang up about 4,000 gold now here, 17 minutes into the game. They're 14-8 in the kills as well, so they are holding a pretty good lead. The experience lead, though, that's the one that's getting scary. 8,000 in the lead experience-wise.
But here's the thing, Finch. This experience lead was even bigger at this point of the game last game.
That's
in
all
game
true.
1. So Pep Boys, I mean, look at them. They clearly still have the confidence to try and force fights, trying to get this T1 tower.
Osha's in the back line, though, which could spell trouble for them. Good disruption there from Vizsla to knock him up with that tail whip, and it is going to create enough space for them to get out of there. They give up on that tier 1 tower, which I think was probably the right call.
Ends up being A-okay. Certainly would have lost a couple members, and with Pyromancer down, you don't have too much to worry about because Gold and Pyro are down, but you don't want to give up an early Fire Giant. And in Season 5, characters have so much damage early on that early Fire Giants are much more viable than they used to be. Especially if you've got 4 members, that new Fire Giant attack that makes it difficult for you to solo when he spawns the 5 meteors and they track everyone in range. Spread out against 4 or 5 people, really not that big of a deal. Less damage than the lava pools did in previous years, but it's when you're trying to solo it or 2-man the Fire Giant where that attack really ends up dealing a lot of damage. But you win a clean team fight, 15, 16, 17 minutes with a lead like GGX has right now, Fire Giant, absolutely a viable option for you.
Yeah, it's something they could definitely take away. I want to talk about Texi for a minute, though. I mean, Thanatos was banned in the first banning phase last game and then picked up 3rd for them overall here in the jungle, and it just has not done much for them yet, sitting 2-4-1. I mean, if you want to compare to what Doinkster's doing so far, it's not even close. Is this Thanatos pick kind of past the point where it can do what it wants to do, or can they still get enough out of this?
I don't think so, because Texi also had a pretty slow start to game 1 and ended up doing really, really well in the team fights later on. He seems to synergize best with Tyrantly on this team. And by picking Xingchen, you're kind of saying, hey, don't come to my lane for a while. Let me ramp up and get ready for me to make an impact. So I'm not too worried about it. Thanatos can kind of do a similar thing to what Camazotz does, which is blink into the back line, get you low, then just ult and finish you off. Wouldn't be surprised to see Texi go for the exact same style of play.
You brought this up last time I talked about these charts, but I mean, look at this lead for GGX game. It's almost exactly where it was last game.
No, I'm telling you, it's scary. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discredit it. I'm just saying that it's still not as big as it was last time around. But again, same mistake that Pep Boys making game 1. Everyone backed right before the Gold Fury was about to spawn. Gotta have, for as good as that team's relic timers are,
yes,
the objective timers still seem to need a little bit of work.
Well, last time it wasn't so much. I mean, there was some great plays by Pep-Boy, but GGX kind of gave it away with some overcommitments.
Yes.
We have not seen them make those exact same mistakes. This is much better playing around these objectives, pulling Pyromancer and trying to force Tyrantly and the rest of the team to come in here to their team fight where they can blow them up. They do end up securing that Pyromancer, and now if they want to try and force a fight, they can. Osha, a little far forward, but I think he's okay with it. Doinkster, looking to try and pull in add-ons, does get the purification beads out of another 155 seconds. He'll be waiting to use that again.
But it cost him his blink, so Doinkster has really relied on that to get into the teeth of the enemy team very quickly in these team fights, so might need to take a little 80-second break, but blink on such a short cooldown that it really doesn't feel that bad to use your blink in a situation where you don't really end up getting anything for it. One of the things that makes blink so potent in my mind is that very, very low 90-second cooldown timer at base. And I'm also kind of surprised, just as I go on a little rant here, that we don't see more Relic Dagger. Relic Dagger makes it so difficult to keep track of your opposition's cooldown timers, or Relic timers, because it's like, well, they have cooldown dagger before they use the beads, or did they have T2 and then they finish it off? So it gives you a little bit of a momentary, panic of I don't know when their purification beads are up. And man, blink on a minute-long cooldown.
Yeah.
Insane. Plus Relic Dagger is great for the price, really good stats. Buy it. Relic Dagger in an item shop near you.
That's a good pitch.
Thank you.
I kind of want to get my own dagger now, my own Relic dagger. Thank you, Aggro, for letting me know how good it was.
It's got like a nice orange-yellow hue behind it. It's got like some nice coloration to it.
I'm sold, Aggro. Yeah, that's enough.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Stop now.
Yes, I will.
Either way, this is the game now where GGX Gang wants to try and turn things around. This is the exact point where last game I felt like they started making those overcommitment errors, if not even a little bit sooner in the game, because they ballooned up to that lead very, very quickly. This game, though, we're seeing a much more restrained GGX Gang who don't want to see that fade away from their eyes in a 43-minute slugfest. Going in aggressively, though, is Texas. He wants Osha, who's unafraid to box it out, but it's add-ons. It's add-ons who's in trouble. Shank ends up doing enough to get that kill. Yeah, I think that he did get a little bit of help.
I think the Archer turned around and said, I got this, homie. Don't you worry about it. Now Doinkster has that blink up available right again. Gonna find multiple members with that pull. Brings it to Chappie. Gonna fall immediately to the damage from the dot. There's that Thanatos up in the air looking for a target, but everyone's still so healthy on GGX Gang that no one gonna be a viable target for him. Physical probably gonna fall to the damage from Osha. And that's, again, playing around. Doinkster in the mid lane. Gets the purification beads out from add-ons. What does Shank do immediately? As soon as he sees that Giannis, blink, Cataclysm, knock up, Yada with the combo. Great teamwork there from GGX.
This is great gameplay for GGX right now, but it makes me a little sad because this is kind of what game one could have been with them if they'd just been more restrained. I feel like this is the forcing bad fights from Pep Boys, keeping those relic timers in mind, and playing around objective. Fire Giant now on all 5 members for GGX Gang. 2 tier 2 towers are still standing, so they can force this lead even further out and start pressuring some Phoenixes.
Some lessons you have to learn the hard way, Finch.
Sure.
Some of them are throwing away games that you had in the bag just because you decided you wanted to dive tier 2 towers and taunt your opposition. Those are things that you have to learn at some point in your competitive career. And here at the SMITE Global Series, these Oceania finals, you know, Oceania is a region that's been dominated by one team for a really, really, really long time. So these players kind of need a little bit of that ramp-up time to get up to that competitive level and have that competitive experience. You know, wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these players hadn't played in a 3-game set in a finals of an important tournament. They probably haven't had to go through that yet because it's been so dominated by the legacies and the dire wolves of Oceania. So now you have to learn those lessons as you're going, and we might see some growing pains for that. But these two teams have a lot going for them.
Yes.
You can see that the beginning markings are there of some really, really competitive teams.
Yeah, GGXN clearly showing us they've got that individual talent. I mean, on players like Doinkster here, on players like Zays and Yada, and Pep Boy showing us what it looks like when a team plays really well around their composition. So certainly a bright future here for this region. GGX Gang, though, have a bright future in this game as they take both tier 2 towers down, increase that lead even further, and make it harder for Pep Boys to fight back in. They will not be making the same mistakes. 11,000 gold, 10,000 experience. They're going to come get Gold Fury, too. They're claiming the entire map aggro. This one's looking tough.
Cleaning your house. And this is a good idea. Just finish off your items. 25 minutes in with this sort of lead, everyone should be probably nearing full build, if not already full build here for GGX Gang. And some of them nearing that full build slot. Osha just needs to finish off either that Mantle of Discord or Spirit Robe. Everyone getting very, very close. So getting as close as you can and then making that final push. Getting all your power spike items, the Polynomicon for Yada to make sure that he can do as much burst as possible. I like that idea from GGX, but you don't have forever on this Fire Giant, so time to start to crank up the heat a little bit, push up these waves, and go for a Phoenix.
Now, the XP lead is getting a little bit less relevant. I mean, level 20 now hit for Osha and Doinkster, and everyone else is very close to finishing that one out, too, with Tyrantly and Texi. But the gold lead is where it's still very, very much in play. Every bit of it, it feels like neither team is full build just yet, so they're going to feel those item or two differences in this team fight here, as it looks like GGX Gang want to try and push down the mid lane. Just now backing its Chappie, so they'll have a chance to get set up as they look for their push.
Shank gonna tank it up, allow the minions to walk in.
Good pluck.
Good pluck there. Shield a little bit late. Zays didn't use the purification beads, and he takes a bunch of damage for it. Now up to the sky goes that Thanatos. Doinkster doesn't pull anybody this time around, but Tyrantly will grab a couple.
And he does. There's Reason Time doesn't go towards the stuns that they just set up. It was off the mark. Add-ons comes back in for some unstable vortex damage instead. All 5 members of GGX Game still looking a lot like they didn't just get Whirlwind and Rage Stealed under the tower. Good job staying healthy up for them, and now they're pushing Cataclysm. The spike go off. I think he wanted to blink, so that's not going to work out for him.
Wow, that might put a wrench in GGX's plans for the moment, but on this next minion wave still might have enough. Chappie the only one left with an ultimate for Pep Boys, and Osha the only one without firing off his ultimate on the side of GGX Gang, but it looks like GGX decided they just want to go for the Pyromancer, so probably going to run out of this Fire Giant pretty soon here. Means that Pep Boys may have bought themselves a little bit more time without losing a Phoenix.
Aggro, tell me if I'm making too big a deal out of this, but that was the exact combo that worked so well for them last game. They even had the added addition of Texi with the 2-man stun on top of it too, just no through space and time to follow that one up. It's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and that absolutely should be where add-on is adding there, or aiming there. But keep in mind that those were the two tanks. That was Geb
That's
Bologna
true.
that were pulled in, both full HP. And look at how much pen add-ons has. 15 penetration to knock through a full build level 20 Bologna and a Geb who's got a Heartward Amulet, a Mantle of Discord, and a fully stacked Gauntlet of Thebes. Honestly, it might be better for him to try and aim and do 65% of Yada's health in that situation. Again, it's the same problem that Pep Boys had last time. It's not a coincidence that whenever Giannis gets more items, he starts doing more damage to these frontliners. It's because his first 3 items are incredibly inefficient at dealing with these frontliners.
Instead, he's going more for that cooldown-oriented build. I mean, he's got tons of it at this point between the Mage's Blessing, Chronos Pendant Boots. I mean, even Spirit Desolation.
It looks like he's going for a Soul Reaver or a Book of the Dead next. I just don't understand how you could Unstable Vortex someone for 300 and not think, I need Obsidian Shard as fast as humanly possible.
Instead now, Fire Giant going to be the call for GGX Gang. Not really a way for Pep Boys to come in here and try and defend it. GGX Gang made a couple execution errors of their own in that last Phoenix Siege, so this won't be an impossible defense for Pep Boys. They know that they can certainly stand up against them in the 5v5 fight or where they're strongest, but it's such an uphill battle for them.
Really is, and that just bought a little bit more time for GGX to get towards those 6 items. Last time we saw him, Doingster didn't quite have that Magi's Blessing. Osha didn't quite have that Mantle of Discord. Now that's ready to go for GGX, and they're going to try and take advantage of it.
And I've liked this. I think both games, we've seen Doinkster pick up this Magi's Blessing here too, aggro, to try and resist some of this crowd control. Last game especially, there was so much of it between the Blink Taunt and Tyrantly that it really made a lot of sense.
Every time a Sobek sees Magi's Blessing, it just lets out a sigh. Like, can't pluck this guy until someone else gets rid of that bubble for me.
They are going to move in onto the right side, Phoenix. They've got Osha coming in from the left side, too. He's going to just try and keep add-ons out of this fight. And Chappie's already very low, getting slapped by the chains. Doesn't quite hit that last one, but Osha's here to try and clean it up.
Nice portal.
That portal was perfect. Zays in the backside does get texted, though, and the right side Phoenix has to run away from the Whirlwind of Rage and Steal, and does create enough space to get away. So this has been well played by GGX Gang so far as they find Tyrantly in the back.
Yada still so healthy as well. Osha gonna just skirt around the edge of that Hui ultimate as GGX look to pick up the mid Phoenix now as they've already gotten the right side.
They did get that right side Phoenix. Now the call is going to be mid Phoenix. Doinkster is very low. That could be a point here for Pep Boys. They want to try and go for it. No relics available for him. No relics available for Osha either way. Not going to matter though. It's Bicycle who ends up falling. Phoenix very low. Phoenix also now gone. The call is going to add-ons on the right-hand side. It's going to be Doinkster doing the honor. Shank gets credit for that one. 3 members have fallen. And aggro, it looks to me like we're going to a game 3 as Tyrantly falls as well. GGX game even up the set.
Yes, we sure are going to game 3. Well played, much cleaner this time from GGX Gang. And Pep Boys try and stick with the same sort of idea. Like we mentioned, it's not quite the same switching out Thanatos for the Camazotz and the Sobek for the Athena, but it's still the same idea, right? Bizical goes in, serves up some people for his team to hit, and Thanatos goes into the back line with Tyrantly, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. That's the joke. But it doesn't work out this time because GGX are able to play around it much better. They say, all right, we understand what went wrong. This time we're going to make sure Zays is protected. We're going to draft the Geb, make sure he can stay safe. Doinks are going to play something that can really do that late game damage all at once instead of over, you have to nem-ult, slice and dice, auto attack. Daji's like blink auto, 1 auto dead to any just about any carry. So I really like the adjustment that GGX has made, but now it's time to see if Pep Boys can make the necessary adjustment. Yeah,
Pep Boys are going to need to really come out here in this next game and try and win. This is game 3. This is it. The end of the set for them. So we'll see what they're going to be doing. But we are going to take a break, after those 2 long sets. I mean, it makes sense. Stick with us, though. We'll be right back for the conclusion here for Oceania. Welcome back to Game 3 for the SMITE Global Series. Oceania today. Again, it is Finch. It is Aggro. We're going to be looking at the finale here between this set. It's been a great one so far.
It really has been. This has been a really fun set to watch. Yeah. Great individual plays from both teams. Really good team fighting from Pep Boys in Game 1. GGX really dominate the map in Game 2. Excited to see, like I said before the break, what is Pep Boys going to change in their draft? Because their current draft style worked Game 1, didn't work Game 2. Time to change Game 3.
Well, for my money, it's got to be something early game related. The only thing that's consistently not worked for them is the early game. It has been dominated by GGX in Game 1 and Game 2. In Game 2, they just converted into a win.
Right.
So, we'll see how that ends up going in Game 3 if they want to try and do something a little more early game focused. We are going to have those picks and bans, though, ready to come up for y'all here in just a second. See if they want to prioritize the same pick.
I wonder if Tyrantley is still going to stick to that Xing Chen, because you're right.
Sure.
The early game has been the problem, and he was the one who played so well in Game 1. Do you really want to take him off that god? He wasn't really the problem in Game 2. I'm not sure. For me, I think a different pick than the Giannis. The Giannis played well in Game 1, but
or a different build, maybe?
It took 40 minutes for, 30, 35.
Yeah.
Just too long to get online with that build. You got to either change up the build or change up the god. Usually, it's just a little bit easier to change up the god than to try and tell your teammate, yo, you got to build differently in the middle of a set.
I wouldn't mind seeing a different jungler there, too. I mean, the Thanatos pick, for my money, just wasn't very impactful.
Right, but he also wasn't very impactful on the Camazotz, and if early game's the problem, how much more early game can you get than Thanatos? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
maybe a Willish, you could go for something like that. They could really try and push that lead early on, but either way, I think that it's just got to be cleaner play out of the mid jungle early on.
Yep.
Maybe take Zaze off that Uller because it's losing you the left side of the map pretty much instantly. And then are you going to give Tyrantley another Guardian like Xing Chen? It's tough to say.
GGX has been first pick all set long, too, if I'm correct. Yeah, so once again, they can ban away the Arduo and force Pep Boys now to decide if they want to ban this Uller or let them have it one more time. GGX been doing real well with that first pick.
In my mind, GGX insta-ban Athena here. I don't know what the delay is, because they should just be instantly Athena banned. Thank you very much. Definitely the play.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% here. Getting this Athena ban out. It was Thanatos Game 1, and I don't know that it ever should be again. I did not be given a reason why it should be in Game 2. So that Athena pick was dominant for them when it was pairing with that Xing Chen. Such a good beads burner.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So now Pep Boys, as you mentioned, has a choice. Again, it's the Circuit. They ban this every game.
Yeah.
This means that Uller is open for Zaze in GGX. Now, maybe you want to go for that priority jungler, try and make sure that you get dodgy if that's what Doinkster wants to run back.
Yeah.
Try and keep it out of the hands of Pep Boys. But if I'm GGX, I'm saying I want to keep that pressure in the dual lane, because so much of that ability that Doinkster had to rotate around, get kills wherever he felt like, is because of that pressure on the left-hand side.
Ooh, Dodgy's going to be the first pick here for GGX, so not prioritizing the Uller. Probably not a bad idea, though, to try and get something that, they'll be comfortable with Doinkster having over there. But to be honest, I'm not sure Doinkster couldn't run Geb jungle and frag with it right now. He's looking so good. Am I going too much in here? Too much here.
Scale it down.
Dodgy.
Scale it down.
Good,
he could probably play like Poseidon jungle and look really good.
Poseidon jungle's the truth. What?
Are you F-Dot? Are you kidding me? I thought I was safe with that one here. Camazotz Geb. I like this switch up here from Pep Boys. But again, now you're letting GGX get Uller if they want it, but instead they're going to go for the Hachi mod.
Okay.
Interesting that Zaze wants to switch it up now, but maybe he's just bored of playing the same god 2 games in a row. I know that happens to me sometimes, but not usually in a competitive setting.
Yeah, some kind of gentleman's agreement, perhaps.
Yeah. Hey, I'm bored. Yeah, I'll let you not get axe stunned and then 3-1 comboed.
Camazotz, though, and Geb going to be the selection here for Pep Boys, and I like this. This feels very much like it's going into that team fight comp that they like to do. Camazotz did do well for them when they played it before. GGX, though, taking that Giannis away from add-ons. Not going to let him play it this time, so force him to go into something.
Yeah, I like this idea from GGX because Yana's been able to get off to a lead in every game so far. And Giannis with a lead is very, very good, as we talked about in Game 1. But also, it's easy to get off to a lead with Giannis because of that ability to power farm and move around the map so quickly.
This shall be a
pick
day
up minions
long
wherever
remembered.
they are. Whereas Bologna, the pick here for Pep Boys, trying to go for that pressure. So, okay, so no pressure jungler, or Guardian solo. I got there. This time around for Pep Boys. Instead, going to go for the Bologna. So this is it's still a team fight oriented warrior in a lot of senses. It's not as much interrupt as Xing Chen's going to provide you, but it's sort of the similar, I'm going to go to your back line, there's not a whole lot you can do to stop me sort of pick. It's not the Osiris where it's, you're trying to just box out your way out of stuff. This is still that tanky, come and get me. I'm going to do some damage to you, and you can't do a lot about it sort of solo laner. And I like that it's not the same pick. It's basically Xing Chen with a little bit less late game control, a little bit more early game damage.
And I like it into the dodgy and Hachiman as well. Very much can disrupt a lot of what they want to do too, so I think that's good. But we talked about how they chose this Hachiman over the Ullr. I mean, if they want to try and have a little bit more team fight presence, I kind of like Hachiman for that. You know, with the ultimate, he can get the stun out as well if you're, you know, if he's close to you, if you're a little bit out of position. So Hachiman has a lot in his kit, but I think that certainly makes him a strong pick in this slot. Again, I don't know why they decided to make him switch it up at the end point, but Hachiman's certainly strong in his own right.
Yeah, no one's going to get flamed for picking Hachiman at a competitive level. You're good. Like, it's going to be a good pick almost every time. But with the success that Zays had been having with the Ullr,
yeah,
a little bit surprising, but still can make some sense, where Guardians banned out here for Pep Boys,
which
Ganesh
I like,
and
yeah.
Fafnir. A little surprised at the Fafnir ban. Fafnir, a god that we haven't seen a lot of recently, got some nerfs coming into this season. We really haven't seen a lot of him competitively quite yet, so kind of surprised that we saw that ban, but the Ganesh one makes a ton of sense. Good into the Geb, can silence out Geb. Well, either he gets killed or his teammate gets killed, and Geb just kind of has to sit there and watch.
And once you get your own support, go ahead and make it harder then for your opponent to try and find one. They've got the Geb, Athena banned away already. Might as well strip away Ganesh and Fafnir, considered some of the next strongest supports in that role. GGX, on the other hand, going to turn their eyes towards this Jing Wei, as Pep Boys have waited so far in deciding on where they want to go with their hunter pick, who they want to pick up in that role. And they're still going to wait. Scylla picked up in the mid lane and they'll pick up that hunter last.
Interesting. 4 CC immune ultimates jumps off the page at me immediately so far here for Pep Boys draft, and Scylla fits that as well. But man, Scylla's in a rough spot in my mind right now. Just losing Obsidian Shard damage on squishies.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so good against tanks now. Obsidian Shard shreds the frontliners. But there's not a lot of great pen options for these one-burst mages like Scylla to hit backliners with. Plus, losing Rod of Tahuti, that late-game big power spike that late-game mages relied on.
Yeah.
Scylla kind of needed that. Kind of surprised we see her pulled out here for Pep Boys. But if this is a comfort pick, her mid-game feels incredible right now. The problem is, basically every mage's mid-game feels incredible. But Scylla can really... the clock that you were on for Scylla, where eventually she was going to start doing crazy stuff to you, definitely got shortened, but her top end not quite as good as it used to be.
That must feel good, though, right? To be able to 10th pick Freya for your hunter position.
Yeah, it can feel good, yeah. I can be down with that.
Be at the end of the game like, oh yeah, Freya's still in the game. That's what I want to go with. So that is going to be the call there for him. The Khepri pick, that was the support that we just saw picked up for them. I want to talk about that a little bit, too, if we could. I mean, against this composition with the Camazotz, a lot of that burst damage, being able, or Scylla with her ultimate, be able to snap somebody back out right at the last minute. Could be big.
Could be a really good idea here for the side of GGX. But going back to Pep Boys draft, I mean, like you were saying, where's the problem? The early game for Pep Boys. So Scylla, Freya, those are the two gods that you want to pick to try and manage. Now, maybe Pep Boys is saying, yo, we're not going to win the early game no matter what. Even with the Camazotz, the Bologna, whatever, we really don't feel comfortable at that stage of the game. We feel much more comfortable when it comes to the team fights, the later game. So we may as well draft around our strengths instead of trying to cover up our weaknesses. So this is Pep Boys, in my mind, just trying to hold on for dear life, wait for 32 minutes, and then turn it on and try and win the game there.
Well, GGX kind of did him a favor as far as the early game was concerned anyway, by not taking Ullr. That's been really the big problem, is that they've had no chance in the dual lane because of all that Ullr pressure. So if there was a game to adjust and try and go for the early game, this would be the game where you don't have to worry about insta-losing dual lane, but instead it's going to be Freya going into that Hachiman matchup, which can be tough. You know, Hachiman Pope with that banner can be very difficult to try and fight in. As Freya, it really comes down to it.
I think the Geb pick early on for Pep Boys is what really dissuaded that Ullr selection, because so much of Ullr's strength is, you know, you're auto-attacking down the support, then you axe the carry and start the combo them. Geb will just Geb shield him, and all of a sudden that doesn't really matter too much, so you lose your combo damage. So in this situation, you're getting guaranteed poke. You've got that more teamfight presence, and your late game is a much safer than it is on the Ullr.
This does give us a chance, though, to talk a little bit about what Hunter's Blessing does for Freya, though, in this early game. I mean, that additional basic attack damage makes her so potent through what you said historically has been a weak early game. It's much more relevant now.
And man, I'll tell you what, as soon as that evolves and you get that free, okay, it's 700 gold, but free 15% attack speed, watch out, because Freya, we always talk about it, she needs power, sure, but it really scales off of attack speed, because when you activate that pulse, you activate that irradiate, it's a time window. It's not a certain amount of auto attacks. So the more attacks you can get off in that window, the more damage you're going to end up doing.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of power to be better than just shooting out another shot.
Exactly.
Really, it would take a lot.
You would need a lot of power for that to be worth it.
Yeah, for it to be better than just getting on the shot. That's why attack speed synergizes so well with Freya and Chappie. Now, I think he's finally on a pick where he could potentially be the bully in this lane. Hachiman very strong with his ability to clear the wave and potentially get poke at the same time, depending on your positioning here. But Chappie has a chance, I think, to be the lane bully this time between him and Blizzical, but we'll just have to see how it works out, as already pulsing down Shank.
Yeah, but I don't know if I like this call. I mean, you just use Pulse, your clear move,
Yep.
on a support who doesn't care at all, and now still going for this. You're going to lose this whole wave.
And likely your jungle
the tower.
here.
And now almost all of your jungle. Maybe it's because of this rotation in from Texi and add-ons. They start the red buff, so that Chappie knows that they're only grabbing purple and not purple and red, but still think I'd rather see Chappie prioritize the clear in those situations than the poke.
And I was talking about how Zaze has the potential to hit both the wave and, your opponent, depending on the Heavenly Banner. I mean, Freya can have that same position, that same ability too, particularly on the support, who kind of has to be a little bit closer. So it's not as if going for the wave means you do 0 damage to your opposition. I agree. I mean, I am a little curious about it, but going for the poke, trying to bring them down, maybe set up for a gank if Texi and add-on can clear fast enough, but they weren't able to. Instead, they do defend their own red buff, purple stripped away, and now they're falling a little bit behind in duo.
Osha on this Kukulkan this time around. First time we've seen Kukulkan so far today, one of the more prioritized solo laners in the pro scene because of that early pressure that he brings. It's really that level 1, level 2 transformation where he gets access to all of his skills as soon as he makes that rage transformation. Makes him very resilient.
Yeah,
need it here.
It's essentially like a stance switcher being able to switch out. Osha is able to dodge and weave, rather, not dog and weave, and get out of there, not get taken care of in that solo lane. Texi putting pressure onto the Kukulkan. Have we seen Kukulkan yet this set? I don't think we have.
No, we have not.
I don't even know if he's been banned.
And I like this adjustment, though, by Pep Boys. What do we talk about? They need to make a change so that their early game feels a little bit stronger. Tyrantly has been ignored because he's been on Xingqian this entire set. Now that he's on something that can actually fight, immediately Texi comes over.
They do get the pull on the Chappie. That's a lot of poke. Dash in from Zaze, and again gets first blood. Blizzical going to have to use the sprint to try and get away from this one. So not only do they get the kill, they force the relic, they get the first blood. Looking good for GGX Gang in duo lane yet again.
Man, we were worried about the early pressure from the Ullr to the Hachiman. Clearly shouldn't be, because Khepri can help you out in the pressure department really, really well. That Rising Dawn's so good at clearing the wave, because not only does it do pretty good damage to the enemy minions, but it gives your minion protection, so your damage mitigation. So it's hard for the enemy to clear the wave. That means that Chappie and Blizzical just don't want to stand up to the wave because they aren't going to be able to clear it quickly, and they'll get out cleared. That leads to the zoning, and that leads to the first blood.
They come over for the invade on the red buff. Yada was the one with pressure in mid lane too, so add-ons could not rotate over to that. That was even with Texi over here too. They felt comfortable going aggressive. And over here, Tyrantly's under pressure too, so GGX King are looking good across the entire map.
Osha drops the kill there, didn't find the push back. That would have put Tyrantly farther back, done him plenty of damage. It would have been certainly another kill.
Yeah.
A little bit unfortunate there for GGX, but still, the damage is done. Pressure obtained on this right-hand side. And this is the only spot where they really didn't have pressure because of that early gank from Texi. Now, don't have to worry about it. Osha back on top in the lane clear.
Yeah, so this is just, it feels like more of the same here, Aggro. GGX Game getting off to an early lead yet again. This time, though, it hasn't even been off the back of Doinkster, who's kind of been that catalyst for them. This time it's just happening in lane on its own, where Osha doing a good job hanging out in that soul lane and resisting that early gank. It's Zaze and Shank setting up a kill in their lane, and then just Yada. I mean, we already know what a farm machine Giannis can be, and he's doing it.
And Scylla's just not going to be able to contest you in the early game and clear. She just won't be able to. Unstable Vortex, so good at clearing the wave early on. One of the better mage clear abilities in the early game. One of the things that doesn't really get talked about quite as much with Giannis is how good he clears the wave in the early game. So Yada going to be able to take advantage of that. Add-ons, again, I just don't know if I really like Scylla in this current meta, but any Scylla can I don't want to say it, but I kind of have to. Change the course.
Yeah, just one Scylla ult, yeah.
You don't even need the ult. You could even just hit the one.
Just hit the one, yeah. Well, he certainly got to change the build path up, I feel like, from what we were seeing on the Giannis to make this effective, and it looks like he already is. He's trying to, it looks like, go tier 2 Booty as that tier 1 of very likely the Warlock staff as well. So going to be a little bit more survivable than what we were seeing in the builds earlier with the Giannis pick. So that might work out better.
Yeah, it should be going for penetration boots to try and get at least a little bit of early pen.
Yeah.
To make it harder for Shank and Osha to jump right on top of them. Yada going for the pen boots on the Giannis. Love it.
This is collapse potential, but it was too late from add-ons. He was over there waiting around the corner, but instead when they turned back, the call doesn't come out for him. Now he's here. Now the through space and time is here as well, though. Yada trying to come even up these numbers a little bit. Texi is here as well. Goes right behind I'm a monster. Doesn't even get to let it land, though. Yada gets that credit, and they can't kill him yet while the Scarab's blessing is on him, so Texi's got to be very patient, and he is. He does eventually get Zaze, but now he's landing back into trouble. Doinkster takes down Chappie and puts the chain on the Texi as well to force out beats.
Nice rotation there, man. It looked like Pep Boys was going to be in the perfect spot. You called it, Finch, but then all of a sudden GGX able to get there. Through space and time is a pretty good ability to help your team get into position when necessary, and GGX end up way on top in that one. Physical lucky that he got away. Only lose Zaze for GGX and get a couple kills there. Chappie and add-ons, I believe, both fell.
To me, that looked like we're going to collapse on them at the red buff. Add-ons like hanging around the red, like the back corner. This is going to be perfect. And then when GGX gang don't go for it and they turn back towards the lane, Pep Boys freeze a little bit. They don't know how exactly they want to go back on. Add-ons finally comes back over, but by then it was too late. Doinkster and Yada had made that rotation, and they turned that fight in their favor. Now they're sitting up 3-1 in the kills department and about 2,000 gold as well. Yet another early lead for GGX. And now they've shown us they can play restrained with that lead too. They got to do it again in this game.
Man, and Chappie having a rough set thus far, especially in lane. Now down 2 levels. I mean, Zaze is level 6. He's already used his ultimate once. He might get to use that ultimate again before Chappie even has access to Valkyrie's discretion on the Freya. A rough start for Pep Boys in the duo lane so far.
Yeah, and Chappie's gone with the cooldown boots here for this start, as opposed to like we often see pen boots here, and it's a particularly a problem because Zaze already has Transcendence done. He's getting those stacks online, gets that additional cooldown now. Transcendence is such a good item for him, so it's really going to be scary for Chappie to try and step up and fight into the level 7 Hachiman.
Yeah, look at that damage from Heavenly Banner. 230 brings him down to half HP nearly, and Zaze perfectly comfortable taking the 2v1 in this scenario because he really could feasibly kill both members here if Pep Boys plays a little bit too up. Now that Bizicle and Chappie are level 5 and have access to their ults, not as likely, but still Zaze doesn't have to be too worried about his positioning.
Yeah, this just means, though, that Doinkster can be more aggressive exactly where he is, over here by this mid lane on the solo side of the map as well. They're going to be right on time for the red buff respawn once again, or at least Shank is a little bit before that, but they're all over here on this side ready to pressure. Pep Boys seem to recognize they take the safe pathing back towards the tier 1 tower, but now they lose their jungle.
You lose the purple to the duo lane, lose the red to the mid jungle. Osha's got to be careful over here though. Right. Nice vampiric bats by Texi. Hits him right when he lands. Osha gonna fall. Takes all 3 ultimates from Pep Boys, but they got him.
They did end up taking him down, Osha. This is kind of what they need. I don't know if they're going to be able to even back out that duo lane, so instead try and focus over here more towards that solo side. Put some pressure into Osha and slow down what this Kakullan's going to want to do. As you said, you're not going to be able to prevent them from eventually reaching that critical mass, but at the very least give Tyrantly a chance to be the star for him as he was in that game 1 that they did win. Try and put him in a better spot.
Exactly. So just giving up on the left-hand side is probably the right call overall from Pep Boys. You would need to get multiple kills over there, and at this rate, it's more likely that you get multi-killed by Zaze and Shank than you getting any kills anyways. So I like this idea. Go for the right side, try and get Tyrantly ahead, and he really is right now, up 2 levels currently over Osha. That's going to be where your lead got to come in. A big Bologna can handle a fed Hunter a lot of the time.
Let's check my imaginary watch to make sure that was an 8-minute, 50-second tier 1 tower that went down, and it was. A lot of pressure.
Bitch, no one can see you. What's the point of checking your imaginary watch?
It's for the bit, but thanks for calling it out.
I mean, I was confused. I'll give you that. I looked over at you and said, he's not wearing a watch. Why is he looking at his wrist? I hope he's okay.
But then you heard me say my imaginary watch bit
right,
out loud.
but like I didn't understand.
The Tyrantly is the one that's in trouble over here on this dual lane side. Finally getting the return gank, forced to use the ultimate to jump away from that one, so he will survive at the expense of a couple of key cooldowns. Thanks, Doinkster, though. Did use his Powwow as well. And now a little bit of pressure. Osha will be able to get over here as Texi's forced to come over to try and defend the wave.
Gonna be doing pretty good damage here to Osha.
He is.
Has the ultimate available if necessary, does like a Cullen. Would probably give him enough rage to transform, but a Purification Bead, instead of just using the ultimate for Texi through space and time, gives Kakulin a way out of danger. Now Texi might be the one in trouble.
He really is in trouble. Doinkster gets the kill underneath the tier 1 tower. Good return kill for GGX Gang. That's what this team can do when they play so well together. Yada showing he can use that through space and time to excellent effect. And Chappie, this fight just is not for you. Does end up making it out of there. Or no, he doesn't. That
No.
damage is waiting for him. He's done.
Whenever you go up into the sky,
He's done.
you won't be hit by anything during that time, but if you got tracked by something like, say, a mounted archery shot from Hachiman Ultimate, it just kind of hovers there and waits for you to land, and exactly what happened to Chappie there.
That's too bad. That's not the fight he wanted. To be fair, though, he had gone all the way to his own red buff. So, I mean...
Oh, you think that's still his red buff? No. That is GGX's auxiliary red buff.
At this point, it really honestly is, and it's so difficult when you're a hunter in this position and you can't get to your buffs for additional farm. You've got to try and settle for those back harpies, get as much farm as you can. No one is local for this Gold Fury, though. That's going to be freely going the way of GGX Gang as they climb up to a 4,500 gold lead, 5,000 experience lead. It just feels like the same book, but we're on page 3 this time.
Exactly. Game 1, this was the type of lead they had in Game 1, but pretty soon it was when they started to make some questionable decisions and
yes,
ends up throwing it away.
That was polite, really.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. GGX has been here long enough. They realize that it's time to, they just got to make it happen now and not drag this game out any longer, because Pep Boys is great at these late game team fights.
Yes.
Still clearly has a lot to work on in the early game, though.
Yeah, the early game is certainly where they've been struggling in this one, and I think that makes some sense. A lot of the times you hear that early game are where some of the more inexperienced teams are the best because you always get to do the early game, but Pep Boys instead seem to have the coordination down pat. He's got to find a way to hang with them through these Season 5 changes and make sure they're still relevant in that mid to late game. With someone like a Scylla, though, with a Freya over there in dual lane that are behind, it's so much harder to do it.
It is, but like I said, if you make it to 33 minutes, then all of a sudden it looks pretty good. Is Scylla going to actually dash in to try and help out her support? But nice, I'm a monster there. Doinkster needs to fight it over the wall. Did he just get both? I don't know what just. I thought he got the hit there.
He did.
Onto Bizicle, but didn't get the pull.
Yeah, he was able to, at the very least, get it onto add-ons, though, and force the beads to come out. Zaze has a Scare's Blessing, trying to get the proc to go off. It just doesn't get the second tower shot in time. I like the play, though. Texi gets credit for that one. Through space and time, right into the face of add-ons. Gonna force him back. A lot of low health members in Osha. Happy to come in and clean those up and continue the pressure under the tier 1. They'll back up for now, but with all 4 members here, this tier 1 tower is likely theirs.
Tyranley gets rooted in place, gonna shield dash away, but
Pulled
gets plucked back in. Has the Thorns available, now gonna go aggressive with that Eagles rally. Doinkster gonna kill himself on the Thorns. Man, the greed is real. As soon as you see Thorns and you're low health, just let your teammates do it, man. It's okay. You don't have to get every kill, Doinkster. He doinked himself.
He doinked himself. It ends up happening every once in a while. Tier 1 tower does end up falling, though, in mid lane. Tyrantley got the most out of that he possibly could have by getting that return kill into Doinkster, who was 2-0-1 before that spill. So now, Tier 1 tower and right hand falls as well for Texi. Pep Boys are doing what they did in Game 2, getting a little bit back off of these fights, these situations that are happening.
I like it. I like making sure that you're getting at least something in that situation. That team fight was all but lost, so Texi instead gonna grab some free farm on the right-hand side. It actually catches him up in farm to Doinkster, and he grabs that tier 1 tower. Smart play. It's something I wanted to bring up before, but didn't really get a chance to, and it's happening here again in Game 3. Bizicle has been behind in the early game because Pep Boys have been behind in the early game.
In particular, the duo.
But still sticking to the Gauntlet of Thebes, I don't think I like it, because the Gauntlet of Thebes is an item that takes a long time to stack up, because you can't be last hitting it. You have to have someone else there or let your minions last hit minions in front of you to get those stacks. Shank already has 26 stacks on his Gauntlet of Thebes. Bizicle hasn't even finished his yet. You want to talk about a big difference in tankiness? Forget the level difference, which is very important for Guardians and their tankiness. The Gauntlet of Thebes stacks, you're getting one prot of each per stack. So that's a big difference that Shank is going to have over Bizicle. I think an early Sovereignty would have done far more. You get tankier, you get your team tankier, and you don't have to wait for it. Would have been a quicker power spike that actually gives you an opportunity to be tankier than Shank for a little bit.
But I like this by GGX Gang, starting this Pyromancer. There's a lot that's happening. As of course, Zaze is getting pressured in mid lane as well, too. But it's not just if you get the objective. Pulling them in not letting them farm is really a big deal. When you have to kind of dance around the objective for a little while and they can't try and catch back up, I think that's all going to help their lead, even though they didn't get that Pyromancer.
Agreed. It's the pacing of it. There are so many games where it's like, oh man, I'm behind. All I want to do is farm, but we just keep fighting. Why do we keep fighting? Well, it's because the enemy team isn't letting you go back to farming, and so they're forcing you to come up and stop them on this objective.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're doing. Pyromancer very low, and up onto the Powwow is going to be the dodgy player. Doinkster gets it as well as DGX Game take that Pyromancer. Chappie now in the team fight, and those pulses are kind of chunking Osha at this point. Through space and time comes through, as does the Scarab Blessing. Osha going to have an escape route and going to have an extra life as well. 1 for 0 in favor of DGX Game, and Doinkster's going in aggressive,
Nice
looking for a little bit more. They do get the root out. That was perfect from Shank. That's going to be just enough for Doinkster to catch back up and put Chappie into the ground as well. 3 members have fallen so far. DGX Game on fire.
Man, that's so close to picking up a lot of kills there. Doinkster low. Osha was 100 HP, and then he got the transformation and the Kepri all at the same time. Forget about killing him. GGX, again, just pushing the lead beautifully. But you can see it. Pep Boys' team fight is there. You can see that it's there when you're down this much, this early. We saw them win team fights down by this much, but it was 22, 23, 25 minutes. It's a little bit easier then because you have enough items. Having 2 items complete just isn't enough to really bring that team fight. And going back to what I just rambled about for 10 minutes before that, how quickly did Bizicle die sitting on Gauntlet of Thebes 2? Now he's finally got it complete, but he's still got to stack it. Gauntlet of Thebes is bad until you get a lot of stacks.
Yeah.
Right now, Bizicle is just food for GGX.
I mean, excuse me for geeking out, but I mean, that team fight was, I loved it. That was great. I mean, Osha going in again, using the through space and time to move back out. Shank with the Scarab's Blessing as well, and the root that helped them secure Chappie. I mean, it was very, very well played by GGX Gang. Yes, they are far ahead, so I mean, they do have a little bit more leeway to play with. But I mean, execution-wise, these guys are clearly playing very, very well. I've been impressed with the play that we've been seeing from them. And since game 1, I feel like, as you said, they learned their lesson. It's been much cleaner play, much more objective focus for them. Now they're pulling this Gold Fury, not giving Pep Boys a moment to breathe in this game as they push up to an 11-4 lead here. 8,000 experience lead, 8,000 gold lead. I mean, we've said it every game, Aggro. They jump out to these early leads, and now they're not giving them up.
It feels that way, for sure. Something that I think is kind of funny and interesting is in game 1, when GGX is off to this massive lead, you see Doinkster spam taunting, you see everyone kind of laughing. Then Pep Boy starts to come back, and I don't think we've seen a taunt since then for anyone on GGX, even with the dominance in game 2, now the dominance in game 3. I think Pep Boys might have at least gotten a little bit of respect.
Yeah, they earned some respect here, I think is definitely safe to say. GGX Game instead going to kind of put the screws to him a little bit here in this game. That's going to be the plan. Osha pushing forward to get Tier 2 tower. Tier 2 tower in left has already fallen, and Tier 2 tower in mid looks like there's nothing to do for it except to let that one fall. Texi, though, is rotating on the backside. He's going in for Osha, who's half health. He was taking a lot of that Tier 2 tower. Powwow was able to pull in Blitzko, who was already half health as well. Scarab Blessing comes out and does get procced.
Oh,
and
yeah.
now out of there. Yada hits through space and time.
Love it. Comes in and dissects the team fight. I'm a Monster is good, and that will spell the end of Osha. Tyrelli finishes it off with that disarm, but there goes Doinkster straight in blinking. But the Cataclysm was still up. He got surprised by that, but it's still Pep Boys on the retreat. 3 members, all very low. Zay's dashing forward, trying to find Tyranley, but doing a pretty good bit of damage to himself. And add-ons will come in and clean it up.
He does indeed turn it back up. Shang is the one that ended up taking down Tyrantley. 3 members have fallen on both sides with Yada, and Shank still standing for GGX Game. Texi and add-ons still tanning for Pep Boys. Yes, the fight goes even, but the bounty does not. Tier 2 towers fall in mid and in that left-hand side. I'm sure they would have preferred to keep everybody standing, but that still goes in their favor gold XP-wise.
Exactly. So now only 1 tower left up for GGX Gang to grab. I know it seems like Bologna low HP, you know, oh, I'm Hachiman, I've been killing it all game. But my man's has Hide of the Nemean Lion and Mystical Mail. That is so much physical protection, and I believe that Zay's just finished off that Executioner. So he was sitting on just the penetration from Aussie as his way to get through 120 physical protections from just those 2 items alone. It's going to take a lot of auto attacks, and honestly, you're doing more damage to yourself from that High the Nemean Lion than you're doing to the Bologna. So just a little bit of a damage check that didn't go the way of Zay's.
I love that itemization in the face of the Osha, the Doinkster, and Zay's here too, so
Yeah.
Tyrantley doing perfectly to try and shut them down. Basically saying it's going to have to be Yada who finishes me off, and I like what we're seeing here from Yada with the pen boots he's got going. Divine Ruin trying to get a little bit of pen in there early too. So
Are you saying that early pen is really good?
I came up with that all on my own. No one else has said anything about that this set. That is a John Finch original.
Wow.
Yeah.
Finch, I'm very proud of you. You've really come a long way.
Yeah, I'm almost like a former Xbox player with my analysis. That's where that's coming from. Pyromancer going to be the call here.
Excuse me?
From GGX Gang, as they recognize that Pep Boys really have no way to try and step into this one. Were you going to say something, Aggro? No?
No.
I didn't think so. Rally here, going to be the call, not able to get in there and defend it in time. So GGX Gang, again, asserting their dominance. Zay's not afraid to take a fight up against Texi, the hunter for Pep Boy, or rather the jungler for Pep Boys. He's been trying to keep his team back in this one, but it's just not going to be happening.
Nice.
So far ahead is GGX Gang.
That's twice now that Texi has blinked out of that trickster spirit. Whenever you leap or use a blink, any sort of movement ability, hold that thought as Zay's going to go in into Chappie. Actually forces out the Aegis. Oh, we just needed to go up into the air a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
No reason to wait
Yeah.
until the Aegis fully goes down, because then that could happen. Chappie has ult. You just go up and hang out until that Aegis is gone, and that's a free solo kill that would have really propelled Chappie up, going from, he would have gotten a big bounty. He was 0-6 at that time. That would have been pretty big for him. Yeah, unfortunate. So close.
I think Zay's even a little bit preemptive on that Aegis there too, but in the end it ends up working out for him. I think that could have really been a
It
problem
was
there in
definitely
that fight.
poorly timed. It's you got to be way earlier to immune all of the Pulsar Radiate combo,
Yeah.
or way later to immune the Valkyrie's Discretion. It can't be in the middle where you can get hit by both and really should die in that situation. That should be a kill for Chappie.
Yeah, in the end, I think he set it himself up perfect, exactly you said, to get hit by that Valkyrie's Discretion, but instead mistimed. So Zays is going to be able to get that kill. At the very least, though, the Aegis is going to be on cooldown for a little while if there's another fight. That's some damage immunity that he will not have available to him for at least another 115 seconds. Pep Boys, though, down about 11,000 gold. It's hard to imagine a scenario where they are able to fight back into this one right now. We saw, though, them make that miracle defense, though. I won't give up on that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel into the through space and time.
Nope.
I just don't know if they have that same wombo combo. Maybe a rally here into the I'm a Monster from add-ons could set that up.
I mean, the defense compositions are very, very strong right now. Compositions that do well and turtling underneath their Phoenix and waiting for you to come to that. And Scylla is pretty good at that. Scylla can throw stuff out over the wall, that crush over the wall, the I'm a Monster. Those are things that are difficult to play around at times. You just have to position correctly. It's so important to be hugging the outside walls. If you're sieging one of the outer Phoenixes, you have to be hugging the opposite wall from where the Titan is, because otherwise you're just asking to get crushed, or I'm a Monster, or whatever mage ability you want to say, Hebo, Water Spout, whatever it is, you have to be on the opposite end of the wall, otherwise you're just asking for it.
Texi forced to use just about everything he had defensively just now just to get away. Chappie now using ultimate just to get away from the pressure from Osha, and they're happy with the relics they forced out, with the abilities that they have forced out, the cooldowns they got at Pep Boys. Now GGXN can come back towards the Fire Giant, and it'll be that much harder for Pep Boys to try and make a defense. This is going to be free.
Yeah, no one even relatively close from Pep Boys. Osha willing to zone very far away, because he's under no threat of death right now. He's got so much HP in that build, quite a bit of physical protection as well with that hide of the Nemean Lion. Nemean Lion is giving 80 procs is so good, because it means that you're not getting any health from it. It's only mana, so it's not quite as good as something that would give you health in that situation. But just 80 is a big number, Finch. In the grand scheme of how much protection you have, it's a lot. So you can really lead on that heavily in the early game, especially when you're really only looking at Camazotz and the Bologna as the main members of the physical damage dealing that Pep Boys are going to do. The only one. Surprised that we see a Sovereignty here for Shank and not a Heartward Amulet, which would shut down or give some magical protection to deal with both add-ons and Chappie. Really would like to see one of those in his last item slot.
Physical very much struggling to compare him to Shank here. Level 12 still. Does have the Sovereignty finish, but hasn't even gotten to the Heartward yet. Gauntlet of Thebes not finished yet either. It's going to be a difficult path for the Geb here in this game to try and be the tank for them. If he can still get off a big Cataclysm knock-up, he can certainly still be relevant, but I don't think it'll be by the way of tanking damage that he's going to be helping this team out this game. He's so far behind.
Agreed. But I really feel like the more I look at the items here for GGX Gang, the more concerned I am about their Phoenix Sieges. Osha goes for a Midgardian Mail last item against a Kamazats who still only has 4 items and a Bologna who's not going to be doing any damage to you anyway, so what's the real point going for that? Midgardian Mail will slow down the Freya off the proc, but I still think that dedicated magical defense, just a Pestilence is not enough to really deal with Scylla and Freya, because remember, Scylla Crush is going to strip away those procs from you anyways and make it that much easier. GGX has to be careful about that.
Well, if they catch out Tyrantly here, it might not even end up mattering. Very low and will get pulled back in by the chain. Is able to jump away, though, with the ultimate, but gets finished off eventually. Add-ons finds Osha. There it is for you. Gets blown up by that magic damage. 1 for 1. Both solo laners are down, and I'm a Monster's looking for the second one. Just off the mark as Zaze jumps away. Trading solo for solo, probably in favor of Pep Boys here, really, considering how far Osha is ahead.
Now, they do have to worry because there's still a lot of waves coming in, and 3 ultimates still up for GGX gang. But still have that Cataclysm and Valkyrie's Discretion available for the defense.
This defense is going to be important. Shank is the one who's already tanking the Phoenix damage for him as they look to push up. Zaze is right there with him to provide a little bit more damage. There's the crush over the wall that we're talking about. But it's actually Doinkster who got a little bit of Phoenix damage in mid by keeping that split push alive. Now they're grouping back up are the 4 members of GGX gang. They've been very patient with these sieges so far. I really like it, waiting on someone to step a little bit out of position or get the clearing that they want.
So this is what I'm talking about. For those of you at home, Zaze needs to be on the right side. Don't let yourself be crushed over that wall. Stay on that right side wall. Yada, stay a little bit farther back along that right side wall. And those Scylla, the mage abilities coming over the wall that are causing so many problems aren't going to be able to hit you in that scenario. And that's very important.
All right, it is going to be a real brief pause that we got for it, but we'll be right back in with Pep Boys are the ones right now trying to make that defense happen aggro as GGX has again taken that early game lead and really just blown it out of proportion. I mean, it's just, they can't allow, yes, their team fighting is good, but they cannot allow these leads to get to this level or they'll never get a chance.
Exactly, and now your backs are against the wall.
Yeah.
Game 3, you've already had a bunch of damage had to all of your towers are gone. Everyone is basically close to full build on the other side, so it's going to be very difficult to defend against this push.
Yeah, and they do have a chance here, though. As you mentioned, Osha not 100% protected against all that magical damage that's coming out right now between the Freya, between the Scylla as well. And we saw it in that team fight. Osha got blown up.
Yeah,
and
he
without
really did.
having him there to go underneath underneath the Phoenix, it's that much harder to siege.
And that's going to be very important. Now, I'd really like to see Osha pick up an extra magical defense item. Make sure that there's a Heart Rate Amulet. If your support isn't getting it, your solo laner getting it, totally fine. You really do have to be worried because, remember, Add-ons has not been building a lot of penetration. It's only got the Spear of Desolation, so that's only going to get better if he wants to continue to go for those magical penetration items. Looks like it's going to be another ring here for Chappie, but he's already got the Demonic Grip and the Spear of the Magus.
Yeah.
They're only getting more damage. You need more prots, and I love it.
Yep.
Oni Hunter's Garbs here for Osha. This means that as soon as he does damage to the opposition, he gets a ton of mitigation for a time. Now, it does have a fairly long internal cooldown, but it ends up working out. But I like the adjustment. Realize that he got popped by a ton of magical damage, makes the adjustment.
Yeah, it looks like Tyrantly still having a little bit of trouble. We'll give him a second to get back into this one. But I agree with you, that adjustment made there by Osha, as we do have a brief pause coming back out here, is going to help out tremendously for them. Playing around add-ons is kind of the only way they're going to be able to make this defense. Some kind of big I'm a monster, as you pointed out, one solo can change the game. But even not just I'm a monster, Sikkim, once it spreads back out and able to root multiple members, Crush as well. Add-ons can be a big factor for them.
You know what's funny? We talk about I'm a monster all the time, but I am almost positive that it is the worst ability to change the course of a team fight because Sikkim is insane. An AoE root cripple that does a ton of damage and a Crush that covers the entire length of the team fight, slows, does just as much damage as I'm a monster basically, and has Prot Tread on it. So you're looking at a couple of abilities. If we talk about I'm a monster, yeah, well, resets, cool, it looks awesome. But man, you can win. I feel like there have been more one-team fights from Scyllas based off good Sikkims than good I'm a monsters.
GGX gang, they ended up backing up from that Phoenix season that we're talking about. They came back and got Pyromancer, came back and got Gold Fury instead, trying to push their lead out even further. They want to make sure the margins are even further in their favor before they finally go for that last push. They backed up for now. But Fire Giant is about to respawn as well, so very likely they'll pick that back up, then go in for these Phoenix and try and get those taken down. Finally break the base of Pep Boys, because they probably felt like they won the set already, considering how far ahead they were in Game 1, then they won Game 2, and now they're ahead in Game 3. They got to actually go put the pen to paper now and make it happen.
Exactly, and with Fire Giant coming up soon, no reason to to wait any longer. You can just kind of pick that up and go for the win. Looks like Tyrantley has been unable to reconnect, and they've run out of pause time for Pep Boys. Really unfortunate situation, but at least it isn't one of those games where it's very close and then something like this happens. We can all be honest with each other. This game was all over about the singing. Tyrantley maybe just didn't want to see it happen.
Yeah, it would have certainly been a tall task to try and defend against this GGX gang siege that they were going in for, so it'll be much more difficult now. But I mean, again, it very likely was going to happen either way. Now, all 5 members grouping up. They're letting Shank be the one to push up that mid lane. I like it. That Kepri push to get those minions up to mid lane.
God, he's already level 20 at 28 minutes. That's insane.
He's been doing a good job.
That's crazy to have your support be level 20 already. Tyrantley wasn't level 20 even before ADC.
Oftentimes they don't even make it,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we see 35-minute games where the support ends at level 18. Like, this is, that's an insane amount. And Zay's look down to half HP. Looks like it was probably a crush over the wall. On the sieges, hug the right side.
Takes a lot of damage. Up into the ultimate goes TechZ. That was forced out between Shank as well as the Hunter. They were able to split push and get that mid Phoenix too. That is gone. Just makes that task a little bit easier. Now all 5 members over here in the right lane. Through space and time is going to be the call. 3-man knockup comes out from Osha as well. Up onto the Powwow on the left-hand side is Doinkster trying to pull in Zhangzi and TechZ, and she does. Doinkster gets that kill. Now they can turn their attention back towards the Phoenix as Osha continues to box it out up against Chappie. Good res to pull him right back in. Thank you for having my back there, Shank, as the right-hand Phoenix falls. Cataclysm gets nobody. Blizko falls as well. This game's all over but the cry.
Exactly. Really well played by GGX gang. Pep Boys did their best and actually made a great comeback in game 1, but it's clear that the early game power from GGX is a little bit too much to handle. Pretty safe to say that Pep Boys got doinked.
Yeah, got doinked. I let you have that one there, Aggro.
You didn't have a choice.
You look incredibly satisfied.
You didn't have a choice.
Good for you, buddy.
You couldn't have taken that from me if you tried.
GGX gang, though, are the ones that come out on top 2-1 after, again, impressive play from Pep Boys, but I think the team that played more consistently well was the one that came out this time. GGX gang did an excellent job in this game throughout the early game. In particular, though, Doinkster, man, looking like a star.
I'll say he really showed up today. I mean, Yada had a really good set as well. Everyone had their moments.
Yeah.
You really don't look that good without everyone on your team having moments. But for me, without a doubt, Doinkster the standout name.
Those are the brackets here to see the path that GGX gang had to go to make it to their first week victory. We're going to continue this global series going, though, for you all week. It's not just Oceania. I mean, we're bringing it to you from everyone. We got LATAM coming up for you as well, Southeast Asia. There's just so much SMITE Global Series to look forward to, and we can only hope they'll all be as exciting as what we just got to see.
Exactly. Southeast Asia tomorrow, Latin America, North and South on Fridays. We get a double dose of SMITE Global Series action. We'll hope you join us for it.
Yeah, well, make sure to stick here with us. That's going to do it for us today, coming to you from the Oceania region, and we'll see you later.